right. Yeah, good. How'd the rest of the meeting go? How'd the rest of the meeting in there go?
Crystal!
Yeah. Yeah. So the green infrastructure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and then the MPC tomorrow. The zoning.
Roy Burdell. That's Oscar. John. Hi. Hey, John Atkins. I just wanted to say, I'm with the Shreveport Mavericks. Hey, how y'all doing?
Right. Oh yeah. Well, Haley's tall enough where you can see her.
I'll be down in a minute. Okay.
I know. Don't do this. Okay. I'm not going to do this.
Are y'all just talking about sign? That's okay. There's no more. So, just that side and then it'll go right away. Just give her a second. Okay. Same thing. When they're, you guys begin to
Thank you for helping me.
Linda. Linda, are you ready? You're ready. The meeting for the Caddo Parish Commission dated May 4th, 2023 at 3:30 is now called to order. Roll call, please.
All right, Commissioner Hopkins is not, okay, Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Jackson.
Here.
Commissioner Young.
Here.
Commissioner Burrell.
Here.
Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Gage Watts. Commissioner Cochran.
Here.
Commissioner Atkins.
Here.
Commissioner Chavez.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Lazarus.
Here.
And Commissioner Epperson.
Here.
All right, I'm counting 10 of 12 members present, though it looks like now it's 11, as let the record reflect that Commissioner Jones has just arrived, and I believe Commissioner Hopkins is in the building, so you should have 12 of 12 here soon. That does constitute a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Today we have our invocation by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Lyndon Johnson. Would you stand, please?
Let's all hearts and minds be at peace as we look to the Lord in prayer. Lord, we also want to just take a moment to keep in our thoughts and prayers the first responder or law enforcement officer who was injured in the line of duty earlier this week. God, we thank you. Before we ask you for anything, we say thank you for everything. Thank you for life, for health, and for strength. Thank you for bringing us here in our right mind. God, we ask that you bless this meeting, bless this gathering, and those who have gathered here to help us do the work of the people. God, we ask that you continue to bless the city and this parish and all that we do, and that it be pleasing in your sight. These are many other blessings we ask in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Let's face the flag. Military, the veterans in active duty, Brenda, hand the brow, all others hand over your heart, and let's remember our POWs and MIAs. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I can see Commissioner Bowman is back. Okay, Mr. Clark.
Okay, I'm sorry. That brings us to agenda additions, where we do have a number of potential agenda additions before you today. You should see a few of them on the agenda there, and if you don't see them on your electronic agenda, if you would like to just update it just by refreshing it, it should contain any additional agenda additions. And so it would be appropriate if you want to read those out and open a public hearing. Would you like me to read them all at once or one by one, or?
I'll just read them all out and we'll open up the public hearing.
Okay, so the potential agenda additions today include a special resolution recognizing Teacher Appreciation Week from Commissioner Cochran, a special resolution recognizing Shreveport City Marshal James Jefferson from Commissioner Chavez, a special resolution of recognition for the Caddo Parish 4-H shooting sports from Commissioner Hopkins, and a special resolution proclaiming Shrimp Festival Day from Commissioner Burrell.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Gage Watts and a second by Commissioner Epperson. Okay, we want to open the floor up for a public hearing. Anyone who's want to speak in favor of or against it will come up at this time. If not, the public hearing is closed. All
Okay.
right, Commissioner Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to be added as a co-sponsor on items 4.1 through 4.4.
Okay. And I would like to be added to 4.1, 4.2. Well, why don't we take them all through 4.4. Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to englobo and add all of the agenda additions at this time.
Second.
Okay, it's been amended by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and seconded by Commissioner Chavez. Are there any comments? Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, I would like to be added to 4.1, 4.2, and 4.4.
Okay. Commissioner Carlton?
Yes, I would like to be added to 4.2, 4.3, and 4.4.
Okay. If there's no one else, we can vote.
And Commissioner Hopkins. All right, thank you very much. That motion carries with 12 in support, none in opposition, and none absent. So those items will be added at the end of the section number 8, which is special resolutions. So those will become items 8.7, 8, 9, and 10. So that brings us now to citizens' comments, where citizens who wish to address the commission on issues other than zoning are asked to fill out a comment card in the chamber foyer and return that to the president or the clerk of the commission. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes and can be submitted here, your request for comments. I know we have received a number of comments today. Some of those are related to zoning, and I do want to just clarify that you will have an opportunity to speak related to the zoning issues, but it is more appropriate to do that during the zoning hearing for those items. And so that will not be during public comments. And if you so if you did submit a request for that and you don't hear your name called, that's why. We do have them, and you'll be called at the appropriate time. And if there is any other requests, feel free to submit them. I have submitted a few to Commissioner Burrell already, and I have a couple more here right now.
Okay, that will take us to our citizens' comment. The first person up is Mr. Kenneth Craft on Resolution 22. State your name for the record, please.
Ken Kraft, 157 Archer Avenue. Thank you for this opportunity. About 6 years ago, I requested a Citizens Advisory Committee on Juvenile Justice. We've made a lot of progress. We met for a year and a half. I want to thank the Juvenile Services Committee, the current chair, the prior chair. We are asking on Resolution 22 for y'all to be the lovely dozen and not the dirty dozen, and to approve this resolution ordering and calling a special election with the gubernatorial primary. For the voters, a quick synopsis: 3.5 new mills, $75,000 assessed value and less, would pay nothing extra. $120,000 home would pay about 2 cents a day. My home would pay about a nickel a day in Broadmoor. And this is important. It'll raise $5.25 million roughly. It'll run for 15 years. It would be effective the 1st of 2023. And it would help us not only eliminate the annual deficit in the juvenile fund, it would help the sheriff, whose money every year transfers from the law enforcement district of Caddo to the juvenile justice, because we have to take care of the cost of running our juvenile programs. I want to give a special thanks to a gentleman without whose help we could not have made any progress as a committee, and that's Clay Walker. Y'all know him well. Please help us to help him to help our juveniles. And the final thought I have is this: the city council chairman Tuesday, a week ago, on April 25th, did tell me, I was at this podium in a city council meeting, and Reverend James Green did say he would fund my expense to go to Washington in late August, near the 60th anniversary of Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, which was delivered passionately and eloquently on August 28, 1963, before youngsters like Mr. Jones were even around. Maybe your mom was not around. But I want to go plead the cause of juvenile justice in our nation's capital. I think Dr. King would be damn proud of that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kraft. Next citizen up is R.J. Johnson on the Juvenile Justice Advisory Committee. Please state your name for the record.
R.J. Johnson, 333 Texas Street. Good afternoon, Commissioners. As a member of the Juvenile Justice Advisory Committee, I appreciate this commission giving me that opportunity, specifically Commissioner Jones for nominating me. We are united in our support for this millage. All of our commissioners appointed someone to this Juvenile Justice Committee, so all of the Caddo Parish community was represented. We met for over a year and a half. We made dozens of visits, did a lot of research, talked to a lot of people in order to get where we were and to provide you the report that we were able to provide. We are, again, united. We came from all different walks of life, all different communities, socioeconomic backgrounds, and I believe it's in our best interest as a parish to do what we can to not be at the bottom of list, but be at the top of list. This is an opportunity for us to not just talk about juvenile justice from the recidivism and the actual crime side, but talk about prevention and the opportunities for us as a parish to do what we can to make sure that our children are able to be productive citizens and have everything that they need to be contributing members of society. So I would ask that you give the opportunity to the voters of Caddo Parish to tell us yes or no. But I believe it is our opportunity to go forward as a parish together, and knowing that we put this recommendation in your hands unanimously means a lot. And I think that should stand specifically for the people that you chose to be on this body. So I would ask that you please pass Resolution 22 and send this to the voters of Caddo Parish. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnson. The next citizen up would be Mrs. Irene Foster on the history of the Mavericks. Ms. Foster. That's up. Take your time. I didn't know you were still playing basketball.
You know, I've always been on the cutting edge, and I've done so many things with all of you, and I'm really proud of you for hard work you put in. And I know John Paul Young, and he was playing with my grandchildren, and I'm so proud of every one of you here. But the one thing is in my heart, you know, my husband, he forecast, he planned, and he built Western Electric. And that brought 8,000 jobs to our area. And the reason we came here, I believe, was for the music heritage and the people and the culture here and the quality of live programs. And just recently, I was very lucky to be asked by Pat Boris back there and Coach Tucker to ride on the bus with them over to Houston. And I got real involved with the Shreveport Mavericks. And all those guys out there are my heroes. But they also are your heroes too, because they represent Shreveport across the nation. In Albany, New York, they won the championship, and now they're the top of the basketball league. And by having a professional basketball league here, our children who are going through the basketball clubs, they get to see them in the parks, the Salvation Army, and they get to mentor with these young men that are going on now. But I just thank you. But I feel hard. But I worked really hard with Pat Boris and Coach Tucker, and it took a lot of work to be here. But I want you to help us get a bus so we can go to the games together. And it's hard to make money here, and I just want you to help us go on so we don't lose the Mavericks. But anyway, I came in as Team Harmoniosity. And we did that, and then but I worked through Team Harmoniosity really because I was working on music. But the Shreveport Mavericks, give them a hand.
Miss Irene, Miss Foster, you want to have them to stand if you like. Well, it's kind of hard to be bossed around, but
It's our honor to be here today and to be recognized for the things that we do. I mean, basketball is a very simple game, but it being a simple game, it can impact lives, and it can impact lives of all those fans out there all over the world. It's impacted these guys' lives, and they are professional players. They play for a salary. They go out and they do their jobs. I think they represent really well. I think that we represented this region really well, the Caddo Parish, and we just thank all the support that we've gotten here in this region. I think that we've represented really well. We won 5 pro basketball national championships over the years. 3 of those championships have been right here in Shreveport, Louisiana, in the Shreveport-Bossier area. We're going after our 4th one here in this area this year. We're trying to become the first team to ever be back-to-back champions in the basketball league. And we've compiled a 123-20 record in our years in playing here in the Shreveport-Bossier area. And it's our honor to represent the many people here. We've been through some tough years here recently, going through the pandemic and the things that we faced. We face things every day in our cities that are tough. Crime is a real problem now. And we played a game last night, a game that was supposed to be played in Pearland, Texas. They had a problem with their arena, so they asked us to host the game. We couldn't get in the Gold Dome because of graduation, so we played at Lakeside Community Center last night. And we played that game for the kids. And we're going to play there again on Mother's Day in an afternoon game. And our guys took that very, very seriously, and they're taking that clinic very seriously. They get out to community events. They get out and do things to help, our region, our area. The Shreveport region's important to us, and we want it to grow, and we want to be a big part of it. We want to be your pro basketball team, your pro sports team in this area. And when people talk about pro sports in this area, the first name that I want them to say is the Shreveport Mavericks. Thank you for having us here today. Thank you very much.
we have a resolution, I think.
We won on July the 7th in Albany, New York. They had not been beaten all year until July 7th of 2022. Well, we promised people we were going to bring this, and we brought this back to the Shreveport-Bossier region, the Caddo Parish. This is your championship right here. The Lily, give it a big hand. Nice job.
I think we have a resolution.
If you don't mind, I'd like PJ, where are you? He's one of our captains. I'd like him to come up and speak to you for a minute, and on behalf of our players. Give him a hand. PJ was the MVP of the championship finals last year. PJ Myers.
All right. Hold up for a second, if you would. We have a resolution to introduce, and we're going to have to take a vote on it in order to move it up to do that.
I'd like to move to suspend the rules.
Thank you. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second to suspend the rules. Are there any question or comment? Okay, by unanimous vote. Commissioner Hopkins? Oh.
No, I just want to suspend the rules. That's
Oh,
all it
okay.
was.
All right. We can do the resolution. Who's presenting that?
Everybody please stand.
Stand, please.
All right, so we have some updates to the resolution. So much exciting happened, and It reads, whereas the Shreveport Mavericks are Shreveport's professional basketball organization housed at Centenary College of Louisiana's Gold Dome, they're currently ranked in the top 3 of 42 national teams in the Basketball League, or TBL for short. The Shreveport Mavericks were refounded on December 30th, 2020. Since that time has led the league with 122 coveted wins and only 20 losses. The organization, wins and only 20 losses. The organization is supported by 24 proprietors, with the originating primary owners, Jim and Laura White of Orange Beach, Alabama. The Shreveport Mavericks have played in the Basketball League for 3 seasons, closing the 2022 TBL seasons with a 27-8 record. As the 2022 TBL champions, the team is affectionately branded the S-Mavs. The 2023 Shreveport Mavericks team roster is Gerald Taylor, number 45, Winford Ross, number 40, Jeff Boyd, number 33, Maddie Malliott, number 53, Michael Lenoir at number 30, Kadavian Evans, number 20, Jay Hedgeman, number 15, Bilal Richardson, number 45, Joshua Montgomery, number 7, Tavin Cummings at number 13, Ty Jordan, number 2, Paul Parks, number 23, and PJ Myers, number 3, and Grayson Bacamania, number 32. Point guard, MVP, finals MVP, Myers took home the TBL final MVP for averaging 28 points per game and hitting the shot to send the 2022 title game into overtime. Other returning players to last year's success include Ty Jordan, Josh Montgomery, Tavin Cummings, and Bilal Richardson. Current coaching staff, Steve Tucker is the head coach, and he's assisted by Rusty Ward, Kevin Teague, Xavier Wilson, Tom Jackson, and Cedric Ellis, 2022 Special Assistant Head Coach. Dylan Hooter, who's referred to affectionately as Mr. Everything, and athletic trainer Tamika Moore. Whereas the early 2023 TBL season welcomed Robbie Buell as the CEO and Director of Operations for the Shreveport Mavericks, whereas the S-Mavs also welcomed publicist Francine Monroe Brown as the Public Relations, Advertising Strategist, and Marketing Strategist. Include special thanks to Jim and Laura White, the majority owners, Pat Boris, the Sports Director, Centenary College of Louisiana, Chris Holman, the President of Centenary College of Louisiana, Robert Blue, the Vice President of Finance for the Centenary College, Stromiel Swift, Randy White, Larry Robinson, Robert Williams, Kenny Simpson, Leroy Clemens from the Bossier District Attorney's Office, Kevin and Bessie Reynolds from the Marketing Development, Miss Fanny Cossey, Real Estate Development and Consultant, Jack and Mickey Carlisle for Marketing and Development, Greg Page, Team Consultant, Kevin Pickens of KP's Photography, Haley Lawson Photography, Miss Jimmy Brazel and JB Investments, Suzanne Harris, the Business Booster Development, Betty Lewis, the Fan Club President, Beth Foster, Game Operations and Marketing Booster, Linda Houston, the Marketing Booster, Linda Bales, the Operations Booster, Gary Yellen, the Fan Booster, Beverly Wessler, the Fan Club Manager, Deborah Bradford Young, Mia Wright, Al Higgins, Diane Long, Lee Hiller, the Game Operations, Channing Ewing, the Game Operations, Charles Malloy, Game Operations, Greg Powell, Graphic Design, Glenn Evans, Concessions at the Gold Dome, Ron Hayes and Boss Hagen Entertainment, Chef Ernest and Tina Palmisano from Ernest Orleans Restaurant and Cocktail Lounge, and marketing interns from Centenary College, Dylan Hooter, Patience Bates, Lacey Wedge, Rochelle Papillon, Theophile Carr, Amelia Bagwell, and Jalen Bear. Yes, thank you.
That man back there, Pat Boris, has never gotten up here, is responsible for the Shreveport Mavericks. He said yes, and he's kind of handicapped, but I'm telling you, Pat Boris in my heart. Everybody give him
Okay, we're gonna take it officially.
Pat, this is your last chance, Pat. Pat?
Everybody can sit down.
Okay. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
Princess off here. Okay, we'll give our MVP an opportunity to speak, if you would.
First and foremost, I want to say thank you to the Shreveport, Bossier. I also want to tell you guys that we renamed our city to Shreve Atlanta, because most of us from Atlanta.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, but honestly, we treat this like our second home. It means a lot for us to be here. The city have embraced us. The city have shown us much love, much respect, and we do the same. We love the community. If we can get in the community a little more, I think that'll be a big help for us as well. Not even just you guys' community, but just for the Shreveport Mavericks, just the basketball players and the organization as a whole. So most of us, I think we're gonna come back, and when we do get back after this championship run, the second one I should say, we will be in the community. And if you guys can do anything to help us get in the community more, please do that. Whoever you guys got to get in touch with, whoever we got to get in contact with, let's do it. Let's put it together. We here for you guys, y'all, just like you guys here for us. And like I said, we appreciate it. We appreciate the love and the support. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gage Ward.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to move to adopt a special resolution of recognition and for the Shreveport Mavericks basketball team.
Okay, it's been motioned by Commissioner Gage Watts and seconded by Commissioner Johnson. We can vote.
I would like to speak, Mr. President, before we vote.
Commissioner Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to say congratulations, and we appreciate everything that you're doing in Caddo Parish. It was advantageous to bring you all down here and use our platform to highlight your achievements. A lot of people are still not aware that we have you in our city, in our parish, and in our state. So this is an opportunity to put you before those who don't know. And as you said, you're doing something for us. What can we do for you? This is the start, and we hope that it opens many more doors to help you sustain what you're doing, because you are not only needed in our community, you're wanted. Thank you.
I would like to say, I know Pat Boris, I know you in the community because he tells me that every week. But Pat, you've done a wonderful job, and you're one of the biggest cheerleaders, and hopefully we will be able to support you more, given the fact that you have come down and made yourself more public, to the people of Caddo. Okay, with that being said, Mr. Clerk.
That brings us to, let's see, so that, I think we were technically in public comments still, so do we need a motion to go back into, oh, we still need to vote, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry, you do have, some of you have already voted, but you still have a few remaining. Let's see, Commissioner Jones is out of the chamber, Commissioner Chavez is out of the chamber, and now we should have, that motion carries with 10 in support, none in opposition, and 2 absent.
Mr. President, I'll make the motion to move back into our citizens' comments.
Okay, there's been a motion and second to move back into public comments by unanimous vote. Okay, we're back into it. That takes us then to Mr. Marvin Muhammad on Resolution 22? State your name for the record.
Marvin Muhammad, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to start my comments this morning as I was traveling to East Texas. I tuned into the live video of the prayer breakfast that was being hosted by KOKA, and I had the privilege of hearing the words of our parish president, and he said these words. He said, citing Psalms 121, that we look up on the hills, we cast our eyes up on the hills where comes our help. Why I say that the juvenile justice system is looking on the hills of the parish, of the citizens of the parish of Caddo. For years, they have operated juvenile justice with a deficit. The over $5.2 million that is being allocated annually that will be raised to help our youth is desperately needed. I believe Bishop Andrew Brown, I don't know if he's here, but it was a plea as well from him. He said, and I quote, that our God know the pain, the hurt, the struggle, the wondering of our youth today. That was his prayer. So I asked this commission in a form of unity to juvenile system, to the courts, and to believe in our children of tomorrow. We have over 37,000 plus in our schools. We have many more that is in different states of truancy, in that wandering state that Bishop Brown spoke about. And today, this commission has an opportunity to do something great, to pass this and to give the voters of Caddo Parish an opportunity to holistically and collectively be a part of the solution. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Muhammad. The next citizen up is Mr. Calvin Lester, Jr. on juvenile justice. Okay, Mr. Lester, could you hold on just a second? We're going to give them an opportunity to leave the chamber, the basketball players. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak for you. My name is Calvin Lester. I come on behalf of our Chancellor, Interim Chancellor, Dr. Vladimir Penning, our Interim Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs, Dr. Lana McCrae. They expressed their regrets. Prior commitments prevent them from being here, and I was volunteered. Having said that, Southern University has a number of investments in this community, and we thank this commission for investing in the things that we're doing. Of course, we've got 3050 Martin Luther King Drive, we've got 610 Texas Street, the Metro Center, we've got 1210 Milam, which is the MS Kick, we've got the Business Incubator on the corner of Martin Luther King and MLK, and of course we have the 1550 Airport Drive, which is the aerospace. I'm here to support this measure that you're doing as it relates to juvenile justice. Fortunately for me, when I passed the bar exam a million years ago, my first job was public defender at the Juvenile Justice Center. And I know firsthand the hard work that the counselors, the staff is doing, and the stories that you see there daily would make your heart burn and bleed. And the work that's being done by the staff over there is just tremendous. So we thank you for that and supporting of that. But more than that, one of the issues that we're seeing as it relates to juvenile justice is more than just incarcerating people. I think one of the commissioners recently said, you know, we can pray, and prayer is important, but prayer vigils aren't working. Now, we're never going to stop praying because we pray every day. But I think somewhere in the Bible in Nehemiah, the people had a mind to work. And at some point, we have to go do something different. I appreciate, and we at Southern University appreciate the approach that the parish is taking, because this approach is totally encompassing. It encompasses mental health. It encompasses workforce development, because we know that those are the issues that affect not only the children, but it also affects their parents. And so if we can participate in that as far as the workforce piece, we would certainly appreciate that opportunity to serve our citizens in this parish. But the policies that you're moving forward is a comprehensive approach, and it is to be appreciated, because incarceration in and of itself is not the answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lester. Okay, that takes us with Mr. Clerk.
Okay, that brings us now to, let's see, I believe to visitors, where we do have one scheduled visit today from the folks from the Louisiana Health Science Center, the LSU Louisiana Health Science Center, who I believe there's a team of them that are here to present regarding the wastewater study. As they make their way up, I'll remind you, of course, the wastewater study is a study that the Caddo Parish Commission funded some years ago in response to COVID. There were additional results that were obtained, and they made a subsequent presentation, and they're back for follow-up today.
Vice President Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to welcome our distinguished guests from our local medical school. They'll introduce themselves, I'm sure, and I hope we'll all pay close attention to what they say.
Well, let me just remind the commission, if you remember, we did do an allocation for Dr. Murnane, and Dr. Murnane was down here. I don't remember.
Vancherry. Dr. Vancherry.
And Vancherry, okay. To do that study on wastewater, and the results was astounding, what they found. And so we asked them to come back to tell us what they did find for the money that we invested. Oh, we haven't given them yet, as I understand. Hopefully we'll get that to them shortly. Dr. Murnane?
Sure, thank you. And are we limited to 3 minutes?
No, not on the visitation. What is that? 15.
Okay, it'll be shorter than 15 minutes, but if it was 3 minutes, I'm going to have to go a little faster. I'm Kevin Murnane. I'm from the LSU Health Sciences Center. This is John Vancherry, a pediatric infectious disease MD PhD physician, and also at LSU Health Sciences Center. We have a few other guests here with us: James Patterson, who's the chair of the psychiatry department; Suzanne Tinsley, who's the vice chancellor for development at LSU Health Shreveport; also Laura Alderman, who's the director of the Institute for Childhood Resilience; and Jennifer Burris, who's the executive coordinator for the Louisiana Addiction Research Center. And I think that's everybody. Just want to recognize everybody who's here with us. And so we're going to give you some results of the wastewater studies. And I could.
Committed to memory.
I haven't committed to memory. I could just go. That's fine. So okay. So this is a study that's been conducted with 2 centers. I'm part of the Louisiana Addiction Research Center, which is a statewide approved center. It's the only center that works with the whole state of Louisiana to serve the populations of Louisiana, and particularly to try to address the burdens on our populations related to addiction. Dr. Vancherry.
So I represent our Center for Emerging Viral Threats, which was, as most of you know, formulated in the early stages of the pandemic to address pandemic virus detection and also vaccination in our state, especially our region.
So this wastewater program covered both of these centers. That's why we're both here talking about the results. And as you remember, wastewater testing is literally the way it sounds. You test the water from the waste that humans expel out to the community, and we can use this to then analyze those samples and come up with very, very important data related to population health and public health that's very useful for very objective and evidence-based decisions around public health policy. It can be used to detect all sorts of different things: illicit drugs, infectious diseases, environmental toxins. Basically anything that you can detect from an individual person in a clinical test, you can detect on a population level using wastewater sampling, which is profoundly useful for producing justice and equity, because you don't have as much subjectivity or bias or implicit or explicit bias in public health decision making. And it can be used to very efficiently direct limited and particularly in resource constrained communities, public health dollars and resources and attention to where those can be directed most efficiently and most effectively. So everybody knows, there's 2 wastewater treatment plants in Shreveport, and those are the Lucas plant and the North Regional plant. The Lucas plant's the main one. It covers about 150,000 people, and many people do sample from these wastewater plants. But you can also go even more fine-grained into the community and sample from individual sites, and so we've been doing that for the last couple of years from 3 de-identified sites within Shreveport. And since the last time I presented, we talked last time about adding sites within Caddo Parish, so we cover the whole parish. We've added 4 parish sites de-identified through the parish since then. And one of the main findings we found related to substance use patterns, so when we look at all the different drugs that can be detected, opioids or cannabinoids or benzodiazepines or any other drugs, the #1 drug in all of these sites, in both Shreveport and in the parish, is methamphetamine. It's really at profound levels at all these sites. And to give you a sense of how profound a level it is, we've been looking at sampling sites from all around the country, from Colorado and from Oregon and from Kentucky and even from all around the world, from New Zealand and from Europe, and all the reported data for methamphetamine levels in wastewater. And what we found when we tested is that Shreveport, as far as we can tell, and Caddo Parish has the highest level of methamphetamine that's ever been reported anywhere in the entire world. So we're very likely to be the epicenter of the methamphetamine crisis within the country.
You want to say that again, Dr. Monet?
So as far as we can tell from looking at the literature from all around the world and all around the country, our best estimate is that the levels of methamphetamine in the wastewater in Shreveport are at minimum 2 to 3 times higher than have ever been reported anywhere in the world. So this is indicative that our population is using methamphetamine at higher rates than anywhere else in the country. All right. And we do test other things. We can detect cocaine and morphine and fentanyl, and these are what would otherwise be considered quite high levels, but relative to methamphetamine, the methamphetamine levels are so high that they're much, much higher than even these levels. So, and there's lots of corroborating data related to this. From the State Department of Health, you can look at overdose deaths rates, and while there's a lot of attention importantly paid to the opioid crisis, which is a very important crisis, the #1 cause of drug-related overdose deaths in Louisiana is not an opioid. According to the State Department of Health, it's methamphetamine. And we've been surveying all the local law enforcement offices, the sheriff's offices, and the surrounding parishes, and asking them which drugs are causing the most challenges for law enforcement. And all 10 parishes' sheriff's office report that methamphetamine is the #1 challenge that they face related to all these other different drugs. And so we also have been looking at COVID levels in the wastewater. And so the main thing we've found with COVID is that when you look at the social vulnerability of communities, and so you can do that according to CDC metrics, you can look at poverty levels and marriage rates and employment levels. You can boil all that down to a single measure of social vulnerability. While every community has a high level of infectious disease burden, there are communities that are very high in social vulnerability that have disproportionately incredible infectious disease burdens. And these burdens for infectious disease parallel the mental and behavioral health burdens, because the same communities that show high levels of infectious disease are the same ones that show high levels of methamphetamine use. So it's not like there's a vulnerable community here that's vulnerable to cardiovascular disease, and a community over here that's vulnerable to infectious disease, and a community over here that's vulnerable to mental health. It's much more transdiagnostic and integrated. In fact, a very smart man recently told me you could describe this as your medical outcomes are more related to your zip code than your genetic code. And it really doesn't have to be that way. That really isn't the way that it should be. And it also relates very closely to crime, which is something that's in a lot of our minds. So we've been looking at the 911 call center data and mapping that in heat maps with geospatial coordinates for substance use patterns and for crime-related calls. And as you can tell from these 2 maps, they practically overlap. So it's not just the medical burden that's in these vulnerable communities, it's also the intersections with the criminal justice system. And so we're working on some solutions to try to address this. From the Addiction Center, working on solutions around developing new effective treatments that can be deployed in our population. bringing in really high-level clinical practitioners that are trained at the very top level of their clinical practice, and connecting all these disparate services that we have. For example, there's a funded service to transport people to Caddo or to one of the other treatment facilities in the area, but it's relatively inaccessible because people don't know that that service is available to them. So we're also trying to set up an ability, which we would call case management, to try to connect and intersect these communities. And then Dr. Van Cherry can talk a little bit about an infectious disease component.
Sure. As you know, with our Center for Emerging Viral Threats, the good news for all of us is this pandemic is waning, and yet we've created an incredible resource for the region and especially the parish. And what we are working to do is pivot that pandemic response to really focus on endemic things, endemic diseases that affect our community. And clearly methamphetamine is a scourge, but we all are also aware that sexually transmitted infections have been and continue to be a scourge in our community. And statewide, Louisiana is ranked number 3 in 2021 for chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis, including congenital syphilis affecting babies. And the Shreveport area has some of the highest rates in the state, only challenged by New Orleans and Baton Rouge. And so as we pivot this infrastructure we've built to address COVID toward endemic infectious diseases, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis are right on the top of our list. Like methamphetamine, they can be detected in wastewater as an indicator of population level infectious disease burden. And the graphic you can see there on the left in the blue colored area of the state shows a heat map of the hottest areas where there are sexually transmitted infections, and you can see our parish is clearly darker than most in the state. And to the right is actually a zip code map from some of our data. The data is about 10 years old, but it was looking at the chlamydia rates among pregnant women who receive care at LSU Health. And you can see some of those zip codes. 40% of the pregnant women had chlamydia as an infection during their pregnancy. And that map is mirrored by the similar data for gonorrhea and also for syphilis. And these infectious diseases continue to be a scourge in our community. It's well known. We just don't talk about it in polite company. And the last thing is at the bottom of there that the rates among African Americans in our community for these diseases are 5 to 7 times that of European-born or European descent Americans. And so these are also affecting the same demographic and social vulnerability index populations that Dr. Mernan spoke about. So that's the pivot that we're looking for in our center, and wastewater testing for gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis is what we're working on now as a next stage. And that will allow us to then begin to do outreach in individual communities where there's high burdens of infectious disease and really address these at a population level, because the medical solutions, that is going to your doctor, has not made a dent in this over decades. So as we move to a population level approach to sexually transmitted infections, then we have an opportunity to really make a difference in our community.
And so this is just an acknowledgement slide, and we do appreciate working with the commission very much. Thank you for the opportunity to come speak with you guys today, and we appreciate the support that you've shown. And we will, in any way we can support the commission, we're always there to support. So we'd be happy to take any questions that you guys have.
Okay, Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you all for your good work in this area and your diligence on these important topics. Can you explain for me, what does it mean when you say population level solutions? What does that mean?
Yeah. So think of it this way: if we're detecting, say, COVID in wastewater, that's telling us that the households that wastewater comes from have a high burden of COVID disease. The same is true for all the other germs we've talked about. And so when we talk about population level solutions for those issues, it allows us to know in which communities have the highest burden so that we can deploy more resources to increase testing in those areas for individuals who can then get treatment.
Okay.
So it's use the population level data to direct where care is needed most.
But that's kind of where the rubber meets the road. How do you engage that community to be tested and be treated?
Right. That is a challenge, and that's part of what we, working with the Department of Health, working with our local hospital systems, are working toward, so that we can bring solutions to communities. That might be a mobile testing vehicle that can go into the community every Saturday and people know they can get tested. What we'd really like to have is, massive testing, tens of thousands of tests, individuals on a monthly basis. And we're working toward those solutions, but it's going to require, in the long term, investment by our state and our community to find a solution.
Okay, thank you. One other question. We talked about methamphetamines showing up at a very high concentration in our wastewater in Caddo Parish. What has led to has the production of methamphetamines changed to make it much more abundant now? I mean, all I know about it is really from Breaking Bad when he was making it in his bathtub or whatever. I mean, has it become more commercial, and are they distributing tablets? Is someone distributing tablets everywhere now?
Yeah, so the idea of local production has diminished some because there is commercial level, like factory scale, like factories of hundreds of thousands of square feet that the Mexican drug cartels are using to produce methamphetamine, and then they fill up 18-wheelers, they just run them across the border faster than Border Control can keep up with them. So local production of methamphetamine has largely decreased, except for in areas with very high social vulnerability where even though the price of methamphetamine has fallen considerably because of this, there's still enough economic incentive when you have that level of social vulnerability to try to produce it.
So it's imports are driving a change in that market.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. I think Commissioner Atkins was kind of hitting on what I was going to ask, but in regards to the methamphetamine specifically, I know we don't want to target specific neighborhoods and give this data to the Sheriff Department and the Narcotics Division and just say go knock on doors, but realistically, I think we should take this data and get it over to like Caddo and to our substance abuse partners and have a mailed out pamphlet that's going to these houses to say, is there addiction, there's help, so that we can reach them where they're at. And I think how do we get this data and then parlay it over to that scenario? That's the next step. From our standpoint of the parish, how can we help you do that?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and we work extensively with CADA and with the Uprising Addiction Center and with Applegate and all the community partner centers, and so that'll be a wonderful thing to do. I mean, I think our dream would be, because the problem is all these services and our support services and medical services are disjointed, and so it's hard, even for me as somebody with scientific training and working in a medical center, I have a hard time accessing medical services because it's just so complicated and so disconnected in the way it's delivered. And so our dream would be to have a facility where people can really work with professionals like case managers to help them navigate all these systems, and that would definitely pay for itself many, many times over, because when they fall through the cracks, the expense to all this is incredible for the individual and for the parish. So if we can find a system where we can help people navigate these services, that's going to make a huge difference.
Thank you, Doctor. Thanks for coming down. Thanks, President.
Commissioner Coffin.
Thank you. I heard two different scenarios, sexually transmitted disease and substance abuse. My question is, as far as treatment age, are you looking at adolescents, adults, or the combination of the two?
When it comes to sexually transmitted infections, more than 50% of those infections are in folks age 16 to 30, and so we're focusing on that age group primarily. We really want that when somebody has individual testing, they can click on their phone, immediately have a telehealth visit and with one of our doctors and get prescribed the treatment they need for the infection they have. So that's our vision for the future that we're building.
And then on the methamphetamine side, we've run about 100 people through a clinical study in partnership with Uprising and CADA, and the average age of initiating methamphetamine use in that population is 16, and we have people down to 11 and 12 years of age that are starting methamphetamine use. And so that's a very young age in the addiction space to be trying to do treatment engagements. We'd be focused on like education and support services and reducing trauma burden and other things that could, and family support that might be contributing to that early methamphetamine use. The treatment age would be more in the like late 20s to like up to around 40 years of age. That's when the disease progresses to the point where people really begin to seek treatment.
Just want to thank both of you all and the entire teams for what you all are doing, in particular as a previous substance abuse counselor. It's a hard world out there.
Vice President John Paul.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you so much for being here. It's a very disturbing study that you've shared with us. I have a couple questions. One is, can you describe briefly the interaction between STIs and their prevalency and meth? And then answer that one, and then I'll ask my next question, please.
So it's a fairly simple one, I think, in a lot of ways, that, and it's not just methamphetamine, but other substances of abuse. When our inhibitions are down under the influence of any substance of abuse, sexual activity goes up and risk-taking also goes up. And so there are significant data from around the country about that intersection of high-risk behavior on the drug side as well as the sexual activity side among people who have sexually transmitted infections, and HIV and syphilis are in that mix as well.
So my next question is, are there effective treatments for these STIs that are most common here, and is that also a way of, and would a treatment for methamphetamine also be a way of reducing those diseases?
So there are not treatments that are common between the two, but and then in terms of the sexually transmitted infections, we have very, very good treatments, very effective treatments for chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis. HIV is treatable. It's not the death sentence it was 2 decades ago. Patients with HIV live normal, healthy lives as long as they stay on the medication. And it's simple now, just 1 pill once a day or 1 injection every 2 months. So the treatment regimens for those sexually transmitted infections are very easy, accessible, and low burden in that sense. And they're covered by all of the insurance companies and Medicaid, and there are social programs to cover those for uninsured. The treatment for methamphetamine, more challenging.
So like Dr. Ben-Sherry said, if you address one component of this, you're going to improve people's lives, give them more hope, give them better health status. It's going to address both things, not directly but indirectly. For methamphetamine, it is a little bit more challenging. There's not a single FDA, Food and Drug Administration approved treatment for methamphetamine. So we're limited to behavioral therapy and talk therapy in the treatment centers. But there's incredibly promising data from the University of Alabama, Birmingham, and from the New York University, and from Imperial College London, and from Johns Hopkins University with some really novel medications that are in late-stage clinical trials. And so we're launching 2 clinical trials to see if those would be equally effective in our population.
And when you have those trial data, would you come and tell us about what you find?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. That's all, Mr. President.
I have a final question. I think in our conversation that we had over at LSU, you said that methamphetamine and opioids had been traditionally in the European group in the rural, and now it's moving to the urban and the more minority population. Is that due to cost?
So absolutely, the caricature of a methamphetamine user is a rural living male from a European ancestry, and that is still a prevalent user of methamphetamines, but that's certainly not the case anymore. It's spread into many other countries. It's been spreading across the country from California over towards the eastern seaboard, and it's been spreading between different communities. In fact, the group that's most at risk of an overdose death from methamphetamine of any group is somebody from a Native American background, and the fastest rate of increase is in the African American population. So it's certainly impacting every single community. Some of that is cost, that is a part of a driver. Some of that is intermixing between these communities and just spread between different, more connected communities. And some of that is just the incredible addictiveness of methamphetamine. It's just, once you are hooked on methamphetamine, it is a challenging endeavor to come back off of methamphetamine.
Okay, thank you very much. Hopefully the information that you all have been able to gather would help us deal with the issue, not criminalize it, because it becomes almost a disease. So what you're going to do, criminalize a disease. So hopefully in the future we could try to support your efforts. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Mr. Clerk.
Okay, that brings us to adopting regular session minutes. Your regular session minutes are attached.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Gage Watts, seconded by Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Gage Watts. Let's vote.
Okay, and that motion carries with 12 in support, none in opposition. That brings us now to special resolutions.
Commissioner Epperson, you on the board?
Yes, sir. This in reference to the special resolution.
Okay, we're getting down to the special resolutions now. We should be there. Okay.
I'd like to adopt and englobe 8.1 and 8.2, take them in order as they are listed on the agenda.
Okay. Okay. Could I do a substitute motion because I really want to pull 4.4 up because we have one of our senior members here, and I know she's been sitting for a long time. I would like to get her out. A very, very important, Ms. Hughes, if it's okay.
I'll be amenable to that, sir.
Okay.
You can put whatever that one is above 8.1.
Okay, we'll take that one first then.
Which one is that, Mr. President?
That would be 4.4.
Okay, 8 point.
No, 4.4.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, just to restate, for those who may not have heard, that was a, I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that's a motion to take up 8.4, I'm sorry, 8.7, I'm sorry, the Shrimp Festival item, and then 8.1 and 2. Okay, in that order.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Epperson, seconded by Commissioner Jackson. We can vote?
All right, and that motion carries with 12 in support.
All right. That'll be 4.4.
Okay, so this item is a proclamation for the Stuffed Shrimp Festival, and if you'd like, I will go ahead and read it into the record while we all stand. Okay. The proclamation for the Stuffed Shrimp Festival reads, whereas the Shreveport Stuffed Shrimp Festival is a unique cultural celebration of a shrimp delicacy created in Caddo Parish, and whereas Shreveport-style stuffed shrimp developed by legendary culinary chef Eddie G. Hughes is in the historic Freeman and Harris Cafe located in downtown Shreveport, is a beloved style of preparing shrimp that has evolved into a staple of the regional culinary culture and is widely known and regarded delicacy beyond the boundaries of Northwest Louisiana. Whereas in 1978, Chef Eddie G. Hughes, his wife Lois Bryant Hughes, their 3 children, Gino, Aura, and Mavis Hughes, opened Eddie's Seafood and Soul Food Restaurant on the corner of Hollywood and Union Avenues in the city of Shreveport in Caddo Parish. Whereas Eddie's Seafood and Soul Food Restaurant celebrates a historic milestone as the eatery commemorates its 45th anniversary, making it one of Caddo Parish's oldest family-operated restaurants. Whereas the Shreveport Stuffed Shrimp Festival is an annual cultural celebration that is produced by Eddie G. Hughes Foundation in collaboration with many businesses and local citizens with a love for their community. It receives funding through charitable donations, sponsorships, and in-kind contributions. Whereas the Shreveport Stuffed Shrimp Festival will take place on May 14th, 2023, on the Louisiana State Fairgrounds. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission and legal session convened on May 4th, 2023, that it does hereby recognize May 14th, 2023 as Stuffed Shrimp Festival Day in Caddo Parish, and we encourage all citizens and community members throughout Caddo Parish and the state of Louisiana to enjoy the fun, family-friendly activities and culturally unique local delicacies like stuffed shrimp in the Shreveport style.
I want you all to know this young lady here is the first family that I met when I came to Shreveport in 1975. I decorated their Christmas tree. That was my lead into this family, because I used to decorate some friend's tree in Monroe, and she said, well, why don't you come and decorate mine? So I came and decorated, and this family actually was the first family that I met when I came to Shreveport. Miss Lois Bryant Hughes, okay?
Thanks.
She's the wife of Eddie Hughes.
We just want to say thank you to the commission, everyone here. You know, our hearts are just full right now. My mother is 88 years old, and she's still a young lady, yes. And we're just so happy and so proud of our Shreveport Stutchman Festival. Hope to see everyone there for Mother's Day. I'm looking at everybody. Hope to see you there, but we are really proud and we're happy. We're very excited, and we're just want to see you there. Thank you. And I want to say I have my family here, my brother, my 2 children, my grandson, my nephew, and Gino. Everybody knows Gino. We're just one big loving family, and we're going to stay that way. And we just thank you.
Well, I don't want to be remiss. We have our former commissioner here. Commissioner Bowen, you have anything to say?
Thank you, Commissioner. I just want to say, first of all, this is the day that the Lord has made, and we'll rejoice and be glad in it. And this is a moment for not only for this family to rejoice about, but just even with the festival itself, or just anyone from the outside visit and see that Shreveport has something that's uniquely its own. And when you go to New Orleans and other places, they all have things that they can associate their city, their area with. And it's time for us to start, you know, all the way from the Mavericks to Eddie's to anywhere else. We need to start celebrating, supporting our own. And because we are unique and there is no one like us in Shreveport or Caddo. And so I just want to thank all the commissioners. I want to thank the administration. I thank you, Commissioner Burrell. We're grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And I want to thank John Atkins.
Yes.
I really want to thank you. You've been, you know, just right there for us for many years. And we really, truly appreciate you.
A true friend.
Mr. President, we have some commissioners that would like to speak, but their devices are not working until you're back in your seat.
I think I have one other thing to do. Jeff? Jeff, tell me what this is again.
I'm so sorry. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to re-gift this that Ms. Hughes Mavis has always deserved. Back when I was on the Shreveport City Council, we were at a wonderful event that she prepared and that I had supported, and she had invited me to be there on behalf of District B. And it was just a great event with that did so much good for the community. And during that event, one of the gracious people presented a trophy and accidentally called my name, thought it was for me, gave it to me, and Mavis was so gracious, like she always is, that she said, "You just keep that so it doesn't look funny and no one feels bad." And I said, "I will do it." And so that was towards the end of my time on City Council. I put it away, and I always held her in my heart to bring it to her, and I thought, what a better time than now. I think Commissioner Cochran?
VC. Commissioner Bowman, we still have some commissioners that want to speak.
Commissioner Coughlin?
Real quickly, as you previously stated about even though we're talking about the Stuffed Shrimp Festival.
Yes, sir.
Back in 1980s, 90s, Berlin, Germany, I met people talking about the stuffed shrimp from Shreveport, Louisiana.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So it has traveled all the way there. I don't know what's going on now, but I know what was going on in the 80s and the 90s.
Germany.
Okay? So again, I'd say thank you and keep up the good work.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. Bowman and Mavisa, I love y'all. Thank you guys for
Love you
coming
too.
down and everything you guys do. And I can obviously endorse the stuffed shrimp because they're amazing, but I don't want to be remiss by not talking about the amazing pork chops at Eddie's. So for everybody in here, you got to go down Hollywood and go to Eddie's and get the pork chops. Thank you guys for coming down.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to say congratulations to you all. This family means a lot to me. Brian and I were roommates at Grambling, and I used to always beg him to bring some food from Eddie's, but he never really did, you know. We were too busy having fun at Grambling, but it's a great family. Brittany, good to see you as well. Thank you all for what you're doing for our community. I think just being a historic place that continues to stay open and keep that family feel, family environment, family-owned business. It's great for our community. It's great for our young people to see. And we're losing so much in Caddo Parish and Shreveport, so it's good to see you all stand the test of time. And I pray that the Lord blesses you with many, many more years. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gage Watt.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's exactly where I start because God has already favored you for having. We have celebrities standing among us. So if you didn't know, they have been a part of what's the name of the show?
Restaurant Impossible.
A
Food
Restaurant
Network.
Impossible. So if you didn't know, YouTube it and look it up. You are a staple in our community. Everyone knows that we are family. I'm very proud of you for continuing this event. Even after the pandemic and all of the challenges that we're facing, we need more events like this more than ever before. So I know that this is a great family, fun environment, and it's going to be safe. So we want everyone to come out and enjoy some delicious stuffed shrimp. And my favorite is just the fried shrimp and the rice and gravy. But visit Eddie's and keep that name alive. And we're very grateful that you have continued to stay the course. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Clerk.
Okay. That brings us now to 8.1, which is adopting the special resolution of recognition and appreciation for utility linemen.
Okay. At this time, Mr. President, I would like to ask the representatives from International Brotherhood of Electric Workers to meet me at the podium, as well as Mr. Michael Corbin from SWEPCO.
Okay, there's a motion. We can do the motion after the bill. All of them passed. Okay. Well, he looks familiar. Welcome, Mike.
Good to be here. Okay. This brings us to the special resolution for honoring utility linemen, and it reads, whereas the Caddo Parish Commission recognizes the crucial role played by the utility linemen of Southwestern Electric Power Company and members of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers in ensuring that the communities in Caddo Parish have access to electrical power, even after frequent severe weather events. And whereas these brave linemen work tirelessly and selflessly in difficult and often dangerous conditions, repairing power lines, replacing damaged equipment, and restoring power to homes and businesses. And whereas their dedication, professionalism, and skill are indispensable in maintaining the reliability and resilience of our electrical grid, and in safeguarding the health, safety, and well-being of our citizens. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission in its regular session on May 4, 2023, that we honor and recognize the utility linemen of SWEPCO and members of the IBEW for their outstanding service and commitment to the people of Caddo Parish, and express our deep gratitude and appreciation for their tireless efforts in keeping the lights on during times of crisis. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution will be transmitted to SWEPCO and IBEW, and that it is made available to the public as a testament to the vital role played by our utility linemen and maintaining the quality of life and economic vitality of our parish.
Y'all may be seated. May be seated. We have a group here that I think oftentimes probably get a lot of cursing prior to thank yous. Once those lights go off, everybody's up in arms. They calling Ken Epperson, they calling Foster Campbell, they calling Swepco, they calling everybody. But the job that these men and women do deserves a lot better than that. Hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, windstorms, ice storms, they have to be there. So I would think that we should take time sometime to just appreciate what they really do. And if it's God's will and I'm available and in place next year during, I think it's a month where we render as a storm inclement weather month, I would like a day within that month to be set aside to honor our utility workers perpetually each year. So I hope that we can get everyone to go on board with that. But these gentlemen and these women do a yeoman's job. It could be worse if you think about if you was in a third world country where you have no electricity or nothing at all. But these things happen, they are acts of God, and these men and these women work as diligently as they can to get our power back on as soon as they can. So next time the power go off, don't curse. Just say a prayer and thank them. All right? Michael, if you would have a word, and then I'll be done.
Thank you, Commissioner Epperson. Commissioners, it's always great to be here in the room with you. My team doesn't have the height that the Mavericks had, but they are strong and mighty. And as Commissioner Epperson said, when things start to go bad, we have a weather event, we have trees fall. These are the folks that are out there. They don't question, and the women and men that work on the front lines and work on our lines are extremely important to our company, and they are true heroes. I just wanted to take a second and let each of them introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about what they do, what their job is, and how long they've been doing this.
Good afternoon. I'm Marvin Irwin. I'm a lineman at Vivian. I worked in Shreveport for 6 years total. I've been doing it 12, I believe. But I appreciate y'all letting us be here.
Appreciate you fixing our lights.
No, thank y'all for having us. My name is Jesse Wilder. I'm a distribution line servicer. I work at Shreveport District. I've been with Swepco for 17 years. I really enjoy my job. There's sometimes that's troublesome, but there's a reward at the end. Thank y'all for having us.
Thank you for having us. My name is Josh Morris. Been with AEP for 10 years. Started as a meter reader, and now I'm a lineman right here in Shreveport. Went to Woodlawn, so I mean Shreveport, that's home for me. So.
Good afternoon. My name is Brent Moreland. I'm here on behalf of the IBW, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. We have the privilege to represent all of the men and women that work for Swepco, and a lot of times, like Mr. Epperson said, they are under the microscope of how come my power's out and how fast can you get it back on. So I'm glad to see that they're getting some recognition today. So thank you for your time.
Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you.
Don't leave yet. Some of the commissioners may have a
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to take a moment to thank Mr. Irwin, Mr. Wilder, and Mr. Mars for their service to our community. As Commissioner Epperson has pointed out, it's so often that the lights go out and we all complain, but I, for one, am thankful for you guys and the hard work that you do. And, you know, I'm often, when the lights go out and the power comes back up, I'm just amazed at how quickly you guys can get the power back up. I mean, I represent District 9 down in the southern part of Caddo, so sometimes we feel like we're at the end of the line and our power goes off. Y'all have to explain to me why our power seems to go off more, but nonetheless, I recognize the complexity of the utility system, and I'm just you know, I think that people in developed countries just take for granted the miracle of electricity. And you can walk into a room and turn on a light switch, and the room lights up, and your air conditioning comes on, and your appliances are all working, and that's all because of the hard work that you all do. And we just take it for granted, but it's really due to y'all's hard work that we live in the life of luxury that we do. So thank you all for your service to our community. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mike, as I said before, I'm not going to guarantee you I'm not going to do a little cussing whenever my lights go out. But at the same time, since I've worked in utilities for 22 years, I understand the problem. Because we work with, you know, being in the telecommunication industry, we work along with the power company. And a lot of time people just don't know the problems that these guys run into out there. I mean, it's just a myriad of problems. But again, we thank you.
That's it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank y'all.
Mr. Clerk.
Okay, that brings us now to the next item on the agenda, which is a special resolution of recognition and appreciation for sanitation and solid waste professionals.
All stand, please. A representative from our sanitation department, would you come forward?
Commissioner, are you ready for me to begin reading it?
Well, I was waiting on the representative to come forward.
Okay.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Gary Norman. I'm Director of Public Works for the City of Shreveport. These are the guys that are really the guys that make the sanitation department work, the solid waste work. Chris Wilder is our division manager that's over the division. Rufus Thomas is the chief supervisor, who's over all the guys that are out there picking up. I wish we could have had all them here today, but they're out picking up trash. So, but we do appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Mr. Clay.
Okay, special resolution recognizing the efforts of solid waste and sanitation workers, and it reads, whereas the Caddo Parish Commission recognizes the vital importance of the services provided by solid waste and sanitation workers who work tirelessly to keep our community clean and healthy. And whereas these workers perform their duties with diligence and dedication, working long hours to pick up, remove, contain, and dispose of garbage in a safe and efficient manner. And whereas these workers often work in challenging and hazardous conditions, exposed to extreme weather and environmental hazards, yet they continue to provide an essential service to our community with great pride and professionalism. And whereas the Caddo Parish Commission recognizes that the work of these individuals contributes significantly to the quality of life in our community and enhances the health and well-being of our citizens. And whereas the Caddo Parish Commission wishes to express its deep appreciation and gratitude to all solid waste and sanitation workers, be they employees of the Parish of Caddo, the City of Shreveport, other municipalities, or private business, for their tireless efforts and unwavering commitment to maintaining a clean and healthy community. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission on this 4th day of May 2023 that we honor and recognize the efforts of all solid waste and sanitation workers who perform their duties with distinction and professionalism and who have contributed significantly to the well-being of our community. Be it further resolved that the Caddo Parish Commission hereby expresses its deepest appreciation and gratitude to all solid waste and sanitation workers for their hard work, dedication, and commitment to keeping our community clean and healthy. Be it finally resolved that the Caddo Parish Commission encourages all citizens to express their appreciation and support these hardworking individuals who make our community a better place to live.
Thank you. You may be seated. Many of you that know me, I don't put things down just for show. I basically had an experience with everything that I basically bring down here out of the 25 years that I've been here. I've ridden on the trash trucks with some of these gentlemen. I have advocated on behalf of better wages and benefits for them. The importance of what they do is immeasurable. And if you don't think that they do an excellent job, I'd like for you to get up one morning at 3 o'clock and get on the back of that truck with them. In the rain, freezing temperatures, the hot weather, the odors. I've received complaints from citizens, those garbage workers are parked up under the tree Where they gonna pick my garbage up? Well, hey, it's 105 degrees out there. They need a break too. And I just don't say things to say them. I was speaking to Commissioner Jackson before I come on. My kids say my robe is my uniform. I've gotten up in my uniform early in the morning to go out and thank my sanitation workers and give them a card of appreciation. And if it's God's will, once again, I'm here, this body is here. Many of you may know that Martin Luther King, his reason for coming to Memphis, where he was assassinated, was to support the sanitation and the garbage workers. People take them for granted. They're the lower end on the totem pole. But I tell you what, let that trash don't be picked up for about a month or 2 weeks. If you don't believe it, look at France over there. Look at those countries. These men and women do a tremendous job. They should be respected just as high as the mayor or anyone else, because they provide a vital service within this nation. And once again, if it's God's will, Martin Luther King Day, I think, is always the third Monday in January. Am I correct? For some of your history, I got it right? I would like to designate the Tuesday after Martin Luther King Day as Sanitation and Solid Waste Workers Day in Caddo Parish and Shreveport. Thank you. You all have any comments?
Again, I just want to say thank you for recognizing this, Commissioner Epperson. I'm afraid I was going to say Councilman Epperson. I'm too used to being in front of the other governing body. But we do want to say thank you. These, like to echo what Mr. Epperson was saying, these guys work hard, and not just guys, ladies work hard. We're getting more and more women that are driving our garbage trucks. So we've got a really good group. It's been a rough several years going through the COVID times, and these guys are still out there, endangering their lives to pick up the garbage. And they work extremely hard. I'm very proud of what they do. There's times that we may be late. There's times we may miss something, but please bear with them. They've got a hard job, and I'm very proud of what they do.
Good afternoon. I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you. I get a lot of calls when things are missed, like Gary said, and when things go wrong. But some days we get a letter of thank you. And we get a call from some little old lady or some older man that said they appreciate us. And today, like today, it really hits home to know that people really care about what you do. So we just want to take this opportunity on behalf of our department to say thank you for recognizing us and appreciate what we do. Thanks.
Okay. Our Public Works Department, you all in that business? Who's here? Well, we got 17 compactor sites, and hey, I've been out there hiding behind one of those deals. I know exactly what they go through out there. They get cursed out and get blamed because of different things. So Ken, tell the citizens what we do and what we provide in our service.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. On behalf of 50 employees for the Parish of Public Works Department, our Solid Waste Department, our 18 compactor sites, I want to definitely say thank you. It is a tiresome work, almost 365 days a year, 7 days a week. Our folks are working. We're picking up trash, recycling, from picking up trash on the side of the road to actually picking up at all of our compactor sites. So we definitely thank you for the recognition, and we'd love for the day after Martin Luther King to have a holiday for our solid waste folks. They would appreciate it.
Now, is that a paid holiday?
I didn't say holiday. I said recognition. Okay.
Got to clarify. Commissioner Chavez?
Thank you, President. Gary, I just want to personally thank you and thank your team. First off, my trash comes on Monday, so giving you guys a day off on Tuesday, I'm all about it. That sounds great. But funny story, and long before I was ever commissioner, I know I got this from my mom living in California. She was always big on us giving gifts to the trash man and telling them thank you and appreciation and getting cards at Christmas. So we do what our parents do. It's how we learn to love. And since our kids have been in elementary school, we would teach them to go out, tell the trash men thank you, leave them sodas on hot days and snacks, and give them Christmas gifts and put coolers out there. And I had to laugh because one of my neighbors came out. She said, "How come the trash cans?" Now, please don't tell the guys don't do this, but they'll put the trash cans away every now and then, or they'll go get them if I forgot to take them out. And my neighbor came and asked. She said, "Why? How come those guys put your trash cans up?" And I said, "Well, I leave them snacks. That's what you got to do." And she thought it was because I was a commissioner. I said, "You leave them cookies and soda. I'll tell you what, they treat you right." So we got some great guys that come to our house. And I don't know if it's like this in every neighborhood, but I have a feeling it is because I see them working out there in the ice and the rain and the cold all the time. So my hat's off to you guys on what you do because you keep our city clean. And I spent some time in Iraq in the Army, and we had to take our own trash out of the burn pit and sit there and take care of it ourselves. And it's a job that I hope I never have to do again. So thank you guys for what you do for our city. Thank you, President.
All right, Commissioner Carlton.
Thank you. And just to reiterate what's been said previously, I too would like to thank every man and woman that get up daily to do the job that they do. As Mario said a few minutes ago, I like leaving the water. I like talking to the young people that are doing this job. I like leaving the soda. And it's really amazing, not only what I give them, but what I get from them. Not just picking up of the not recycling, but the garbage and things of this nature, but the conversations that you can have there for a very short period of time. I look forward to seeing them weekly when I'm at home. And again, thank you both.
Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you all so much for the hard work that you do. I live in Highland, and it produces an enormous amount of garbage, very large piles of garbage sometimes that private citizens simply could not manage on their own, and you save us from living in squalor, and we are very, very thankful to you, even those of us who don't remember to express it deep in their hearts know that they couldn't live without your hard work. So thank you very much.
Commissioner Hopkins.
I wanted to thank y'all also. I don't deal with, out in the rural area with the city's trash pickup and stuff, but I know y'all do it's a hard job and y'all do a good job. Dr. Ward, your group, I can't say anything bad about. I mean, there is not a time I haven't called, and those compactors take care of a situation or trash pickup on the side of the road that Public Works doesn't take care of it. Now, as a former employee, I think we got enough holidays.
I got to interject here. I didn't say a holiday. I say recognition. unless you want to fund it.
I'm not into more holidays. Sorry.
I didn't say a holiday.
Okay.
Recognition.
I'm all for.
All right. Let's get it straight.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, that's for the record.
No purveyors of propaganda.
I just want to say, Gary, you and I go back over 20 years, and you retired, and they came and got you out of retirement, and now you're back again. You must love that job. But anyway.
He loves the city.
Okay, but for the rest of you guys, you all do a great service, and every time I get an opportunity, I slip a little something here and there because it is important that they know that they appreciate it. Interesting little story, my son, when he was small, he used to sit on the curb and the garbage man would come by. And they built such a relationship. I asked him, I said, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? He said, the garbage man. I said, wait a minute. He's a doctor now, so he's close to it, you know. But anyway, you impress a lot of young people. You'd be surprised. You know, the young people that look and see how dedicated you are in your work. And again, we want to thank you for all that you do. Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
All right. That brings us now to, so those were the items that we had previously adopted. You've all also adopted the Shreveport Mavericks resolution of recognition. And that brings us now to 8.5, which is adopting a special resolution recognizing Walnut Hill Basketball District Championships. I believe that was from Commissioner Gage Watts, who.
Commissioner Gage Watts had to leave for another
That's
function.
right. So I do know that she's going to be presenting this at a later date, but I'm sure she would appreciate it being adopted today. Did you want me to just read off the other items that are below, or would
somebody want to englobe it? Do we have?
Yeah, I'd like to, well, accept the motion to englobo and adopt resolution 8-5 and 8-6.
And I believe you also have two more from the agenda additions.
What's that, 4-3 and 4-4? I'm not sure what those are. Okay.
Okay, it's been amended by, by Commissioner Atkins and seconded by Commissioner Jones.
I'm sorry, it was 4-1 and 4-2.
Okay.
Okay.
4-2, 4-3, 8.5, and 8.6.
Thank you. That'll be fine.
Okay, okay, vote.
And that motion carries with 7 in support, none in opposition. We are prepared to read any of those into the record if you'd like, or we can just hold them for later presentation.
Why don't we hold them?
Okay. We'll move forward then to communiques and committee reports.
Administration.
Yes, sir. We just have one item today, Commissioner Burrell and Commissioners. Just want to remind everyone that we have service award recognition tomorrow at 2 o'clock at the port in the Commerce Building. This is where we recognize the tenure of our employees, 5-year, 10-year, 15, 20, 25-year service awards. And that will be tomorrow at 2 o'clock at the port. And I'd like to invite you all to attend. And that concludes my comments for today, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Epperson.
Yes, sir. The Veterans Affairs Committee met on Monday at 2:30 p.m. We discussed a wealth of issues. First, we discussed the Colonel Stephen DePice's U.S. postage stamp. For those of you that know the military contributions that Colonel DePice provided as for military and veterans for over 47 years, as well as his service to the nation in the Army as well as the military. He deceased, he transitioned in July of 2020, I believe it was. There's a 3-year hiatus before you can request a stamp from the United States Postal Service, which this body adopted a resolution requesting that. So this July to be 3 years. So we're going to make sure that we don't forget that and see if we can get that postage stamp in his honor. Also, the Congressional Medal of Honor Convention. A lot of people don't know the importance of that convention. You know, the Congressional Medal of Honor is the highest honor that can be bestowed upon a military person for their actions in combat. There are few of them that are living. However, there is a Medal of Honor Society in which they hold a convention. Caddo held that convention in 2001. So we are going to submit an application to see if we can do that again. And the reason for that, it provides a wealth of economic opportunities. It increases tourism. Plus, it's a way that we highlight Barksdale Air Force Base, Fort Polk Joint Readiness Center, 120 miles south of us, as well as Overton Brooks VA Medical Center, which is basically a city within itself and provides a valuable economic engine to this area. Our third item on the agenda is Northwest Louisiana Military and Veterans Museum. That's something that we've had on the table for a number of years, working in conjunction with our American Legion post, our disabled veterans, and our veterans of foreign wars, as well as our local government entities. And there's a possibility that we have a site that could be donated. So we would let you all know that as time progresses. Also, our downtown light pole signs, we want to make sure that we recognize our veterans annually during our Veterans Celebration Week, which is generally held 7 days within the date of Veterans Day, which is always November the 11th. And signage. We would like some signage placed on the entrance somewhere to Caddo Parish at a couple of spots or so, stating that Caddo Parish proudly supports our veterans. And that ended our meeting relative to that. Anyone that's interested in working with us and bringing some of these things to fruition, feel free to contact myself or any person on the commission for more information. Also, I'd like to commend our Parks and Recreation Director, Mr. Wesley, our administrative staff. We had some security issues at Pinchback Park, which is located on Jefferson Page Road. Just been newly renovated, looks very beautiful, and they got on that immediately, and I think we did a yeoman's job in being proactive, because I think it could have turned into something a lot worse. I won't go into the details, but thank you all, and I think that really remedied that particular situation. That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to let my colleagues know, particularly those colleagues that are on the Natural Resources Committee, as well as anyone interested in the noise ordinance issue that we're looking into. I wanted to let you all know that I'm trying to get a Natural Resources Committee meeting scheduled, and I'm trying to work with some of the oil and gas operators who have reached out to meet with this committee. So right now, just if anyone's interested in attending, or those members that are on the Natural Resources Committee, right now we're targeting May 11th at 3 p.m. or May 12th at 10 a.m. So that's next Thursday at 3 p.m. or next Friday at 10 a.m. So just wanted to let you all know if they're interested, any interested parties, so they can pencil that into their calendar. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, want to thank our Commissioner President for coming to the prayer breakfast this morning. It was an outstanding event. People from every government entity all came together and prayed this morning, and we really felt the power of prayer in that room. So I think we can do more of that. Just want to make sure that it's clear that I don't have a problem with praying. I don't want that to be misconstrued by what I said on Monday. I don't have a problem with prayer. Okay, I shouldn't have a problem. I pastor a church. Yeah. But I do believe faith without works is dead. And so, you know, you can talk the talk, but you got to walk the walk as well. This Sunday coming, there's going to be a Sunday Fun Day at Cargill Sports Complex from 2 to 5. This is for high school students, but I want to encourage, if you have time, my colleagues to go out and just be there to encourage the young people, be around them. So often, you know, we show up to things that go wrong. You know, we show up to crime scenes. It'd be great to just show up to a day of fun and just out there relaxing and fellowshipping with one another. It'll be good for them to see our faces and encouraging them to, you know, to get more involved in the political process by becoming voters. Most of these young people will be seniors that are graduating this year that will be out there participating. So it'd be great just for them to see our faces and to encourage them. So that's this Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. at Cargill Sports Complex. Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, Mr. President, I'm sorry, one more thing. Mr. Wesley, kudos to you and your staff for responding very quickly to Greenbrook Park incident. Thank you so much for taking care of that. The citizens are still encouraged about the park opening up, and so thank you so much for taking care of that very quickly. That's it, Mr. President.
All right, Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Bryant, thank you for your rapid response in the Dixie Gardens tree fence destruction issue yesterday. That was under 24 hours, and I was very impressed. It was fantastic, and my constituent was delighted. And and so I wanted to also thank whichever staff you selected to execute that. I'm sure it was Public Works. And I also want to thank Public Works for their prompt addressing of the speeding in Dixie Garden with a sheriff's camera. I hope that helps, but we may need to discuss further options for making that a safe street. But thank you very much for your rapidity.
All right, no one else? I'll just add mine to the comments rather than the president's report. Just Believe Western Playground activity that we were supposed to co-sponsor. I still got to get with Mr. Wesley. I understand that they did make application and you all haven't coordinated that yet in terms of sponsorship for the Just Believe Western Playground activity that was at State Fair out there, where former bull rider and now film actor Jamon Turner put on for youth. I was out of town that weekend, but I drove back in to make sure that I at least try to support him. And there are quite a number of kids out there. It sort of has a country and western flair, but it was a program to teach kids how to work together. And many of our kids who fight each other, especially in our urban centers, would have done well to have been out there. They did have some, well, quite a few. And they had calf roping, horse riding, herding cattle, calves, goat roping. At first I wasn't sure how it fit, but the kids had a wonderful time. They learned to be able to work together, negotiate things, to think. It was a very unique experience. So hopefully you will work with them, hopefully to get the money that we promised them. So that's it on that end. Okay, there's no one else, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, that brings us to, did you have a separate president's report, or?
No.
Okay. That brings us then to public hearings on zoning ordinances and cases. And we have a few of these today. Would you like me to read them all at once and then open one hearing?
Well, we can do that.
Okay. So these items, 11.1 is a public hearing for ordinance 6322 of 2023. That's related to the Parish Zoning Commission MPC case 23-1-CTAP. That's an ordinance to amend Volume 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Caddo as amended, the Caddo Parish Unified Development Code, relative to wireless telecommunications with all their provisions included herein, and otherwise provide with respect thereto. The next item is a public hearing for ordinance number 6323 of 2023. That's related to the Parish Zoning Commission and MPC case number 23-2-CTAP. That's an ordinance to amend Volume 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Caddo as amended, the Caddo Parish Unified Development Code relative to data centers with all their provisions included herein, and otherwise provide with respect thereto. The next item is a public hearing for ordinance number 6324 of 2023. That's related to PCC MPC case 23-3-CTAP. That's an ordinance to amend Volume 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Caddo as amended, the Caddo Parish Unified Development Code, relative to surfacing requirements for parking lots, and otherwise providing with respect thereto. The final item in this section today is a public hearing for ordinance 6325 of 2023, related to PZC case number 23-5-P. That's an ordinance to amend Volume 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Caddo as amended, the Caddo Parish Unified Development Code, by amending the zoning of property located on the western corner of Colquitt Road and Jersey Gold Road in Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from RA, Rural Agricultural Zoning District, to C1, Neighborhood Commercial Zoning District, and otherwise provide with respect thereto. That item is in District 11. The other items, by the way, are district-wide, and those are the items that are available for public hearing today.
Okay, the floor is now open for the public hearing. Anyone wanting to speak for or against any of these measures can come forward at this time.
Yes.
Okay, it appears.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, we have Ms. Jill Brown.
Point of order, Mr. President. You're
Yes.
gonna call each citizen up off the card, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the first person up is Ms. Jill Brown.
Okay.
Jill Brown, are you Jill Brown?
What issue?
All right, so.
Point of order. Point of order.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, if they're going to speak on a certain issue, all the persons who are speaking in favor of the zone should be called at one time, and all speaking against should be coming at one time, because we staff here so many minutes to speak on that issue.
And you may want to ask if they can identify. I don't see where it's clearly indicated on
Right.
the card.
There's
Some of
not-
them do, but not all.
Okay, let's see.
You can ask them, Mr. President.
Well, no, but but we can't ask them all at the same time. Okay, because there's no indication, one indication before, and the other one is not. Okay. Okay. All right then, Ms. Jill Brown.
Hi, how are
State your
you?
name for the record.
Kind of got me out of my jitters there.
Okay.
Y'all are so intimidating.
You're speaking for ordinance 62325.
Yes, sir. My name is Jill Brown. I live at 10181 McElroy Drive in Keithville. I am speaking for Ms. Johnson. Let me get my notes out real quick, because like I said, y'all just make me a little nervous.
It's okay.
I don't know why, because
We're just regular folks.
This is your house, so you can.
All right. So, number one, I want to start off with a little scripture, Mark 12:31, and I hope that y'all all know this one. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There is none other commandment greater than these. And as far as I'm concerned, Ms. Johnson is my neighbor. She's been a long-time Keithville resident. She's wanting to move her business a little closer to home, and who wouldn't want to do that? I mean, no, I don't think there's anyone that wants to pay these high gas prices, and that's what she's doing. She's driving all the way to the other side of town in Shreveport. So that's one case that I would make on this, and just supporting local business, because that's what she's trying to do. Another thing is, I've lived out there now going on 5 years, and out of those 5 years, this building has been empty, other than maybe 1 year out of that 5 years, and I may be wrong on that. It was a church, and then it just kind of, they moved. And so this building has been empty, and that is never a good thing. And I know there has been talks about our neighborhood is riddled with drugs. And I have to tell you, it is to a degree. But what neighborhood, we just learned about that just a few minutes ago, what neighborhood is not riddled with meth? Go into the city of Shreveport. You're going to find it. I have to say that the 90% of the people that live in our neighborhood are good, hard-working citizens. And they're kind and they're good people. Just because we may live in a mobile home doesn't mean we're no better than a brick homeowner. So just, I just want to bring that up. The empty building needs to go. It needs to have someone in there. And because otherwise you're building a nest for the meth and people to just more or less congregate there, and that's never a good thing. I have been to some of the estate sales and the businesses.
Excuse me a second, your time is up. Well, according to that.
Motion to extend.
Okay, motion to extend. How long?
I won't be much longer.
Point of information.
Yes, sir.
Shouldn't we have 15 minutes for each side? And you let them know that in advance.
Okay, and not knowing how many
Start off
for.
with 15 minutes on the clock. 15 minutes for the opponents, 15 for the.
I'll just wrap it up and let y'all know that I am in support of it, and I hope that we can be neighbors and love one another. Thank y'all.
Nice job.
All right. Ms. Frazier, I see you on the board.
That was when I spoke earlier.
Previous? Okay. I guess you need to take that off. Ms. Deborah Johnson?
Do I need to give my address and everything like I did in the last one?
No, just give your name
This
for
is
the
totally
record.
different than what I expected.
Give your name for the record at least.
Sir?
Give your name for the record.
Deborah Johnson. I am the person who's purchasing the property and the business owner. I'm sure y'all have heard a lot of things about this that are totally not true. And hopefully you've gotten the information now that tells you the things that are true, and I know we only have so much time for our side, so I'm going to try to go fast, and since I am an auctioneer, I will try to talk fast, okay? I have been an auctioneer for over 20 years. I've performed estate sales, auctions, liquidations in that time. I have been appointed by the governor to sit on the board of auctioneers for the state of Louisiana, representing all Louisiana auctioneers. And this business that I am putting in here has nothing to do with another business that I own, which is a vape shop. And that is in South Shreveport on Mansfield Road. I've had it for over 10 years, but it's not moving. It's this other business that I'm moving. The only thing that we are going to be doing here are estate sales when we cannot do them on location, because there are times when you cannot have the sale right there on location. They have to be packed up, brought to another location, and performed. And then we'll be doing fun auctions occasionally. This is not a business that's going to be open every day. It would be stupid for me to put $40,000 worth of vape product in a place people can't even come in to purchase. So that's out of the question. Last time the FFL firearms came into question, and I do have an FFL, and I do not bring in guns to sell. I do not purchase guns to bring in to sell. I don't even have to have the FFL to sell guns at an estate sale. But I do have the FFL because I'm not comfortable that Louisiana doesn't make you have a license to do a background check on somebody. I'm not comfortable handing a gun over to somebody without doing a background check to make sure that it's okay for them to have it. And like I said, I don't have to have that, but I'm comfortable doing that. Oh, I also don't take in stolen merchandise to sell. I actually vet. I work with attorneys and CPAs, and we don't just take in things off the street like pawn shops. If we sell something for someone else on consignment, these are people we either know or have come through attorneys, CPAs, or other places. So we do not handle stolen merchandise. We don't sell drugs. I'm not a drug dealer. We do sell CBD and Delta-8 at my vape shop, but we don't sell anything that is not legal in Louisiana. I don't care if it's not legal in other states. It is legal here. We only sell what Louisiana allows us to sell. I don't auction off police cars. I don't auction off cars in general, and I don't have a used parking lot. I actually will only sell a car if it's involved, again, with an estate. And I don't even have a license to do this auction car, period. The building was called into question. The building that I'm purchasing is a big building, and it was in disarray, but no one has seen or known what has been done to it in the past couple of years since it's been vacant. There has been over $100,000 worth of renovation done inside this building. I wish y'all could have come out to even take a look at it, because all the walls have been fixed, redone, painted, everything's fresh. It's so pretty and nice. And anything that was wrong inside there has been fixed. It's got new air conditioning, new roofs, repaired roofs on some of the buildings. And one building, the biggest building, is the building that we're actually going to be using for the events. Someone mentioned I may not have enough parking spaces. Believe me, there's plenty, but if there's not, there's extra land available to put in parking spaces if needed. But if I fill up that parking place, I will definitely be ecstatic over that. And lastly, the crime that they're talking about in here, I had a text from a fireman at the fire station just down the street last night. And he was trying to make heads or tails out of all the stuff he's been reading on Facebook. And when I spoke with him, we got to talking about the crime, and he said that whoever's putting the stuff on Facebook is very much representing what's going on out there. He said that he, as a fireman right there at that location, has only been 2 times to any kind of drug instances in that location. So I don't want to take up all the time because I have some other people that would like to speak. If y'all have any questions for me, I'm here to answer them, and hope y'all vote yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How much time we have left on this issue? Okay. All right, I think that brings up Ms. Hope Theo. Soel.
Can you let them know they have 9.5 minutes? So,
How many there is total?
right, they have 9.5 minutes total.
Right, you have total of 9.5 minutes, and I believe you have two people to speak, you and Ms. Priscilla Lusk.
I'll be very quick.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Hope Foley. I live at 10234 Dover Place in Keithville. I live in Breckenridge subdivision, which is very close to the church property that Deborah wants to purchase. It's right close to Jersey Gold. And for Deborah, I went around my subdivision passing out pamphlets and brochures and talking to the different people in our subdivision about the business she wants to bring out. And I also posted in our Facebook group for Breckenridge. And in all the postings I put about Deborah and explaining the untruths that were going around about her business and talking about how great of a business person she is, not one person in my subdivisions wrote anything negative. And the people that I spoke to as I passed out brochures are like, yes, we need something out here. I love auctions. I love estate sales. Everyone, I'm speaking for my subdivision, everyone I've spoken to, and seeing that I didn't get any negative responses on my Facebook page, my subdivision is for Deborah's business coming out. And thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much. That brings us to Ms. Priscilla Lusk. Take your time. Ms. Lusk, state your name for the record, please.
I'm Priscilla Lusk, and I live at 8840 Sebastian Private Drive, Keithville, Louisiana, 71047. And Deborah Johnson is my daughter, and I love her. And I hate what people say. She's not a drug dealer. She doesn't carry guns. She does everything the law allows. This building that's in question would be a perfect building for us. And I'm very proud of my daughter. She's a very smart woman. And she knows what she's doing. And all these things that people say about her is not true. It just hurts me to hear that she's not a drug dealer, she doesn't carry guns, she doesn't sell guns, and I'm nervous.
Okay.
But anyway, and I don't envy you all at all at your jobs, because I know it's hard to do what you have to do. And I just appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lusk. That takes us to Ms. Ruth Sanders.
I'm Ruth Sanders. I live at 2160 Francis Drive in Shreveport, Louisiana, 71118. I live about maybe 2 miles from Colquitt Road. Deborah forgot to mention this. We have 144 signatures on a petition that are in favor of Deborah purchasing the property and getting it rezoned. I met Deborah Johnson approximately 10 years ago when I rented booth space from her at the Shreveport Antique Mall. And I had my booths at several other consignment stores in town, but when I got associated with Deborah and saw how ethically she ran her business, I closed out my other rental spaces because I realized that they lacked the integrity in business that Deborah has. When she moved to her store on Shreveport Barksdale Highway, I continued to rent a booth from her until about the spring of 2020. During those years I rented from her. She never cheated me. She never slighted me in any way. But most of all, she never lied to me. She always was a great source of information for me. Her knowledge of antiques is unquestionable. And she was always available to help me in any way that she could in my business because she wanted everyone to profit and to do well. Her intention has always been to grow a business that would be an asset to the community around us, as well as taking care of her family. She has a family business. Her mother, her children, her husband are all employees of hers. And she would not do anything unlawfully or unethically to jeopardize her family. I also work for Deborah in her store and in her estate sale business. She always shows the utmost respect for clients and their belongings when she is contracted to hold an estate sale for someone. She has a huge...
Just a second.
Is my time up?
Yeah, well, the total time is up. How long you have left?
Just a second.
Okay.
Okay. She has a worldwide following in her auctions, live and on the internet. She is not a fly-by-night roadside junk dealer. She is not. The people that have made accusations against her do not know her. She is a businesswoman that many women would like to be. Her ethic is impeccable. She's kind, sensitive to others, and she is honest to her bone. And I am proud to know her.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Sanders. Okay. Now, those that may be against. I think I have Michelle Perkins. State your name for the record, Ms. Perkins.
Good afternoon. It's Michelle Perkins. I've heard a lot today about Ms. Johnson. Obviously, I'm here on the rezoning of the Keithville with the church. It's not personal against Ms. Johnson. I understand she's a businesswoman, and I have to thank her because obviously I didn't know anything about a vape shop. I didn't know anything about an auctioneer until I started researching it. The reason, it's not a personal attack on Ms. Johnson. Obviously, the vape shops are a booming business in Louisiana right now, but it's also killing people. When I put this on, I'm not personally attacking Ms. Johnson. This is off her website. When I filed at the MPC, she sells weapons. These are not antiques. This is what she says. At the MPC meeting and what she said just now, that it's not always done at the estate sale, sometimes it's done at her business location. So if y'all give her a C1 and authorize this today, she can put the auctions that she sells. This is weapons. This is not auction. These are not antiques. These are not 100-year-old weapons. This is what she says. This is off her website. I'm not personally attacking her. Everything that I've had come off her own personal website. She's been operating. She has 2 antique shops right now that's been closed down. At the MPC meeting, she says they've been closed since December. Well, if antiques a booming business, why do you have your other 2 locations closed down? And this is what she's selling. Vape, guns, knives, estate sales, they're all different locations. Look at the ammo. This is off her website. And she's going to have this near my house. This is 1,000 feet from my front door. I understand she has a lot of followers. She has over 3,000 followers. But she's selling weapons, vape, and she said herself, Delta 8. Delta 8 is federally illegal in the state, in the United States. It doesn't matter what the state of Louisiana says. It doesn't matter what Caddo Parish ordinances says. The United States DEA said on Forbes and on other sites in February and in March, Delta 8 is illegal. It's federally legal. And as far as I know, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a doctor, I've been following this at the state. There is a crisis in the state of Louisiana in regards to vaping. It's going on in Baton Rouge right now. They're trying to pass House Bill 179. The vaping that's going on is being targeted to the young kids. When our parents were older, it was in the military, they gave it out in MREs. Well, now they're targeting our young kids. 50% of the teenagers right now are vaping. Right now, 29.5% are using it on a daily basis in Louisiana. That's what they're fighting about in Baton Rouge right now. Ms. Johnson says she's not going to open up a vape shop.
Well, she advertises it all together, and then the NPC put a whole paragraph that she can legally move it. There's 4 buildings there. She can do this. On Ms. Johnson's website, I'm not personally attacking her. This is off her website. In her own website, she says she don't give receipts out for anything she sells. I wasn't making false allegations. This is off her website. On the vape shop on Mansfield Road and the other shop, Delta 8. How do I know? I went in there because I didn't know anything about vape. I went in there. I asked her employee. She says, I sell Delta 8-9. I said, what's that? Then she said, the reason I went in there because if I have to defend this in court, I can't go off hearsay. I have to be what I saw and what I talked to. I talked to her employee. I recorded her. She said, I sell Delta 8, and we're in the process of moving out to Keyfield. Really? You already packing up? We ain't even been through the process yet. You know what's in that vape shop? Kid stuff. A unicorn. They're advertising to our younger people. It's a crisis in the state of Louisiana and across the United States. Right now, her vape shop, it's a fire hazard. If you don't look at Los Angeles County right now. 11 firefighters got hurt. 1 man sued the county because he lost all of his fingers because the vape shop is very flammable. You're putting the parish in a major jeopardy if y'all let these vape shops start moving outside the parish. The building she's talking about moving into, I haven't heard of anything about repairs. I live across the street and I hadn't seen the first thing. Roof and repairs or nothing done. The building was built in 1958. The lawsuits are across America right now. You know what's happening, and it's really sad because I knew nothing about this. Parents don't know their children are vaping. And what blew me away last week in Baton Rouge, they were talking about middle schoolers are vaping. You know when the parents find out? When their child is dead. When their child's lungs are collapsed. When their child has popcorn lungs and they can't breathe. I had no idea, because I don't have small children. My kid's gone in the Marine Corps. I had no idea the crisis across the United States, especially in Louisiana right now. And it's a gateway drug. We've been hearing all about meth today. Jersey Gold, that area, I'm not from Shreveport. I didn't know when I bought out there. I'd only been in Shreveport a year. I was carrying mail, wanted a beautiful house out in the country. I bought it. I had no idea Jersey Gold area was such a high crime area. I didn't know. The reason I know there's a meth use, because it's sadly, at my house 2 years ago, my gas, we're having a pool party, and she goes, Michelle, Caddo Sheriff's out there. There's a woman flopping around your ditch because she just left Jersey Gold high on meth. It's sad. The weapons by the school, we got to address that. You know what's right connecting to that property? Heart of Hope, which is a juvenile, is a ministry for young unwed mothers. You can't sell weapons in the state of Louisiana by federal law and state law within 1,000 feet from a school. How does she plan on doing that at an auctioneer shop? And then she says she's only going to open up part-time. What's the secret? You can't abruptly open and close a business. There's something bad wrong here. The vape products are sold to minors. Well, I understand you're supposed to be 21 before you go in there, but this is not an antique shop. This is all off her own website. I'm not personally attacking Ms. Johnson. She's a wealthy businesswoman. These vape shops, that's why they're booming in the state. But it's also killing people, and they're targeting our younger generation, and we need to address that. The lawsuits are across America. Vape is causing all kinds of major issues. The other thing I would like to address,
Well, before you finish, unless there's someone else, you got 15 minutes, you can take the whole 15 minutes, or if there's no one else, but if there's someone else.
All the other senior citizens that are in my community, there was 11 of them that showed up. Majority of them are south of this building. Some of them are in bad health. They're extremely upset about it. There was 12 of us that showed up at the MPC meeting a while back, and they're upset about it. A lot of them have written letters. A lot of them are frustrated with it because Ms. Johnson, it's not a personal attack on her. I understand it's a business, but we all thought the building was going to be condemned. We had no idea, and it's not just that she wants to open business. I'm concerned about her type of business, but we don't want any business there because once it's zoned C1, you're right, you're spot zoning right in the middle of a subdivision. This is a church, and then the ministry of the young unwed mothers is directly behind that. We don't need vape, and she says she's not selling it. Well, she's done it at all the other locations. And when you say on this other location right here, she outright says, on this one right here, Summer Grove, 2833 Summer Grove, handguns, long gun, ammo, AK, auto revolvers, knives. You know where this is at?
Water.
You know where this is at?
Excuse me, Commissioner Jones?
Everyone was quiet while those who were for it were speaking. We need to have the same respect for those who are against.
Okay, thank you.
7 minutes, 30 seconds left.
This building where she was selling this at it was supposed to be an auctioneer place. She does have a license to sell weapons on Shreveport Barksdale. Summer Grove, you know where that's across from? A Christian school, right across the street. I don't know the laws. I don't make the laws, but when I read it, state law says you can't have a weapon within 1,000 feet from a school. You can't go to a school function unless you're an authorized personnel to carry a weapon or resource officer for the school. Right here, I don't care if it was 8 years ago. That school was there 8 years ago. According to the ATF, she only has license on Shreveport Barksdale. If it's such a booming business with the auctioneer, why are the businesses closed down on Shreveport Barksdale? You know what's booming is a vape business. And if you say this about the weapons, and she's saying she's an auctioneer, these weapons that she advertised on her site, these aren't antiques. Antiques, the definition of an antique is over 100 years old. Vintage is over 20 years old. You know, we got young kids all over Shreveport right now that are shooting. Where are they getting those weapons from? I'm not accusing Ms. Johnson, but here's the thing. If nobody's regulating these weapons, we need to know. And then when you're looking at the vape drugs, we've heard this all morning about the meth. What did they say in Baton Rouge? It's a gateway drug. It's killing people. And, you know, I'm stunned because I'll be honest with you, I was uneducated on it until I went in her store. And the only reason I went in her store wasn't to personally attack Ms. Johnson. I didn't believe it. Because one of the neighbors said on her employment application is, if you work here, what happens here stays here. So I didn't believe it. So I went in there. Well, here's the thing. Delta 8 and 9, she just admitted to it. Guess what? You can Google it. It's illegal. It's federally illegal, and she's selling it on the streets right now in Caddo Parish. And y'all want, and they want, I plead with y'all, I pray that you don't allow this to come to my quiet country community in Keithville because it's right in the middle of a subdivision. There's elderly people there. I've been out there for 25 years, and when I say in front of I'm talking she's going to be less than 1,000 feet from my front door. That neighborhood that's behind Ms. Johnson, where the building's at, you can go up there and ask Sheriff Prater. I try to get them to give me a printout from it. Half of Sheriff Prater's deputies run hot going by my house. I just Google it. All McElroy, all Jersey Gold, back in that area. It is sad. Nobody's cutting down on anybody that they can't afford it. Nobody's cutting down on anybody that lives in a trailer or anybody else. The thing of it is there's a meth issue back there, and code enforcement needs to go back there. It's sad. It really is, because I've been in third world countries before, and when I went down there the other day, it blew me away. I did not know it was that bad back in there. And it's sad, because you know what? When we have people coming up and down Keith Road that's flopping out in the streets, and they're walking up in there all hours of the night, you know what all of us as senior citizens and all the veterans and the retired GM that live on Keith Road, we all know where they're going. They're going right down Jersey Gold to get their meth, and they come back. Yeah, Miss Johnson, obviously she has a booming business in town, but it's a vape shop and whatever. These aren't antiques, in my opinion. And here's the thing. If she's selling all that, when she's saying she wants to employ people at that church, her relatives all live back there. They all work for her. And a lot of them are her customers of the 3,000. It blew me away. I've reported her to the authorities because when she says she's selling globally, we got to look at these vape shops, because you know what? If House Bill 179 fails, it's going to be, she said, $40,000 worth of merchandise. How's she going to get rid of it? She's going to be mailing it online, because I tell you what, the state of Arkansas, that attorney general's prosecuting people that's mailing stuff in their state. Because you know why? They're mailing it to people under 21. They're mailing stuff that's off the black market, that's not legally by the FDA. I mean, I never knew, I had no idea about the vape, and then when I was looking at this, I was upset it was an antique shop. And she fraudulently presented herself as a new antique shop. She never, on the introduction letter, never said she was an auctioneer. She never said she was going to sell weapons. She never said she was going to sell vape. But according to her own website, that's what she's been doing at all other businesses. And it's just upsetting as a homeowner that I've been out there 25 years, and like it is to the other residents that live out there, as the Sarge testified at MPC, We all been out there. We're not expecting it to be rezoned to commercial and have to deal with this kind of stuff. If you're opening and closing her own business right here on this website, says she's gonna be opening and closing abruptly, keep checking back. What kind of business operates that? If you're running a business and it's a legit business of an antique shop, why do you open and close at certain times? Why is it a secret? Why do you only have 3,000 people on your phone, but it's not open to all the public? You have to put her email in. You have to sign with. Where's all this stuff going? Who's regulating all this? If she's supposed to do it at Shreveport Barksdale, why is she advertising guns on Summer Grove? These are all questions that is above my pay grade. I'm not a cop. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a police officer. I don't know the rules and regs. When I called the Attorney General's office to address these issues, they told me to call the Federal Trade Commerce Commission. They told me to call the postal inspectors. They told me to call ATF. I simply put it out. It's not a personal attack on Ms. Johnson. Obviously she's a wealthy woman and she's made it off selling babe, because I don't think her antique business is that great, or she wouldn't have shut the other businesses down. There's an issue here, and I plead with the commissioners to not do this to the senior community in Keyfield. We love it out there. It's quiet, but these questions are unreal. The building was built in 1958. You're going to put highly flammable products in a building that is that old? In Los Angeles County, all the 11 firefighters got injured because the vape, when it caught fire, they were popping, and all these firefighters, there's a guy right now has none of his end of his fingers because of the vape products.
You got 1 minute.
I just addressed that. It's hard to address this, but 2 of the commissioners on here, and I respectfully ask that the 2 that are in business with Ms. Johnson or have done business with her, please don't vote. It's a violation of ethics on the state of Louisiana. I am very well aware. I don't want to call names out, but I'm asking you. If you're in business with Ms. Johnson, please don't vote. Please excuse yourself from voting in this, because I'm very well aware of who they are, and I ask that respectfully and honestly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Perkins. All right. Where are we, Mr. Clerk? Commissioner Chavez?
Thank you, President. I wanted to just ask if can I get the URL of that website that you're saying that the auction shows that she sells vapes?
This came off the personal website.
Just give the address just for the record.
It was her consignment shop, upscale consignment shop, Olin and Baker. It was off Fusion Mall, the estate sale. Some of these she's opened and closed. I checked with the Secretary of State. She's opened and closed so many businesses, but she combines them all together.
May we have a record of that?
Yes, sir. I gave out a pamphlet of all that. There was 15 pages where I filed it at MPC at the district court. It was already in there. Yeah, I had filed it.
That's the signatures, but that's not.
Isn't it in the back?
I had given out a pamphlet to Mr. Efferson last meeting, actually.
Can you hand that to the clerk, just so we can get the
You
URL
want these
off that?
documents?
I just want to see that URL.
Oh, okay. All those, you can hand them to me. I gave him a printout when I had, and it was also filed at district court. She has taken some of the websites down since this, because I brought it up when they were, I wasn't personally attacking her. I was quoting the state law, and I was quoting the federal law on Delta 8 and 9. It wasn't a personal attack on her. I was just quoting, and it says that.
Thank you for this information.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And then,
You might want to wait.
This isn't a question for her, President, but I don't know if we need to suspend the rules to ask Mrs. Johnson to come up, but I had one question to Ms. Johnson, if I may. Ms. Johnson, if you could come forward.
Okay, we are in the public hearing. Mr. Clerk, Ms. Johnson, come back up and answer.
In terms of the public hearing of, each side has a time limit. They each have 15 minutes, which has been elapsed for both of them.
Right.
So I'm not entirely sure. I think that and I'm looking at the Parish Attorney to see if commissioners are allowed to ask additional questions. I
Yes,
believe they can,
The
but
commission cannot ask any questions during public hearings until both sides, proponent and opponent, have completed their presentation. So since both sides have presented, it's now permissible to ask questions.
Thank you, Attorney Fraser. Thank you, President. Ms. Johnson, it sounds like from all the people that came in support of you, and I saw the 144 signatures, my question to you, directly to you, now that we're on the record, do you anticipate on selling CBD and/or vapes at this specific location?
Absolutely not. The vape shop is in a totally different location.
I completely understand having multiple businesses and doing one thing at one thing and not the other. So
And I'm not going to be open every day for people to walk in and buy it. But it's not going to be there, period.
So that was it. I appreciate all the citizens that came out and all the signatures. So my only thing for my decision to help is for you to go on the record. I've heard that you're an honest person. So I just wanted to ask you point blank, will you ever sell CBD or vapes at this location?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
That's not for this business.
Thank you for this information, Ms.
Could I just say one thing? This stuff that she's telling you about these guns, she had to go back 7 or 8 years into my Facebook to find this because that happened to be a Louisiana State policeman.
Excuse me, Ms. Johnson.
From Manny.
Your side's time has expired for speaking,
Okay.
but thank you for answering that question.
But
I
it was
appreciate
in-
it. Thank you very much.
Yes, that's it. But VP, that's the reason I did not ask about the firearms is because as an estate sale, she sells whatever firearms come from that estate. I understand that. They may not be antique, they may be new. They just come from the estate. So my biggest thing is what I've heard today, that she was going to sell CBD and vapes and Delta, that other product. She stated no on the record. So, thank you. My time's done.
Thank you, Commissioner Chavez. I happen to be next on the board, so I'm going to ask a question of Director Clark. Director Clark, could you come and answer a question for me? And I believe other commissioners have questions for you, too.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So this is proposed to be rezoned to C1. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Does C1 allow for, without any other change, does it allow for the sale of vape
It
material?
is a retail good use, so it would allow for those sales.
Okay, so if, suppose Ms. Johnson sells this property in the future, a future owner could put vapes in there if we rezone it as C1, is that correct?
That could happen, yes.
Is there any way for us to rezone this with a stipulation that it can't be used for selling vape?
We had, at one time, we had considered utilizing a PUD where we could specify what products could be sold, but other than that, I don't know if there's a way that you could take a regular zoning and specify what can be sold when it's a use by right in accordance with the ordinance.
Okay, so there's no way for us legally to prevent the sale of vape there if we rezone it as C1 currently?
No, sir. I don't.
Okay. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes, Mr. Clark, I was just going to ask the question in reference to the policy and rezoning. And the biggest thing I keep hearing resonating in my head, 1,000 feet from a homeowner's property. Can you address that?
I'm having problems. I apologize.
Okay, it's
I
at
could not
1,000 feet from a homeowner's property. Can you address that?
What are we?
In reference to rezoning.
And what about the 1,000 feet? I'm lost.
Is there something against it?
No. Are we talking about the sale of vape products and so forth?
Not necessarily even that. I'm just concerned about, rezoning from one particular specification to another within 1,000 feet, particularly going commercial. From what I heard previously, if I heard it correctly, within 1,000 feet of a homeowner's property.
There's nothing that prohibits rezoning a property next door to another residential. That's why you have a board. That is the responsibility of the Caddo Parish Planning and Zoning Commission. They made the recommendation to you. in reference to this application. So all of the laws had been explored prior to them making a recommendation to you.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna ask a question, but I think what I heard Commissioner Cawthorn, and I don't know that it's been answered or it may be asked. I think he's asking, is there any rules that prohibit, are there any laws that prohibit the sale of certain products like vapes, guns within 1,000 feet of a residential zoned area? I think that's what he's asking.
And I shared with him, and I'll share it again, there is nothing that prohibits that sale.
That's what I think. So there's nothing there.
No.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask that the group that's forward stand up so we can see who all is showing up. And then the group that's against, y'all can sit down so we can see. Okay. There is a petition also that they gave to us. I just want to see that.
Mr. President, do you have any other questions for me?
I don't see any. Are there any other questions here? No, sir, I don't think. Thank you. Okay, where are we?
Hey, at this point, both of the sides have elapsed their time. For this issue, though, you do still have a public hearing open, and if there were anybody that was here to speak on any of the other items, you may remind them this is their opportunity to do so. If not, it may be appropriate to close the public hearing.
Okay. All right. As I've been told, if there's anyone else to speak for or against anything else on under this public hearing that was read earlier, yes. Well, not on this particular topic, because all the time has been expended on this particular topic. If not, public hearing is closed.
Okay, thank you. And that brings us now to, let's see, I'm sorry, I think my agenda got turned backwards. One sec, let me get back to the right page.
Do we need to vote on this?
Yeah, we're at public hearing on ordinances now, where we will have, you have just one item under public hearing for regular ordinances today. That's public hearing for ordinance 6326 of 2023, an ordinance amending the 2023 budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Oil and Gas Fund and the Riverboat Fund to appropriate funds for safe summer program.
Okay, so we need to open the floor for a public hearing on this. Anyone to speak for or against? Is that 6326?
That is 6326, that is correct.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience to speak for or against 6326? If not, public hearing is closed.
Okay, that brings us to zoning ordinances for final passage, where you have the four items that you previously have in public hearing. The first item being ordinance 6322 of 2023. It's related to the Parish Zoning Commission and NPC case 23-1-CTAP. That's an ordinance to amend Volume 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Caddo, as amended the Caddo Parish Unified Development Code relative to wireless telecommunications, with all their provisions included herein and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Okay, Commissioner Epperson, is this from a previous one or is this
I wanted to, I guess we're gonna read them individually. I wanted to make a motion to go and adopt 13.1, 13.2, and 13.3. Second.
Okay, it was initially a motion by Commissioner Jackson and seconded by Commissioner Lazarus, but it was amended by Commissioner Epperson and seconded by Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Epperson?
Nothing.
Okay, you can vote.
Commissioner Jones and Atkins. Thank you. All right, that motion carries with 10 in support, none in opposition, and 2 absent. That brings us now to ordinance 6325 of 2023, as related to Parish Zoning Commission and NPC Case 23-5-P, an ordinance to amend Volume 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Caddo as amended, the Caddo Parish Unified Development Code, by amending the zoning of property located on the western corner of Culprit Road and Jersey Gold Road in Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from RA, Rural Agricultural Zoning District, to C1, Neighborhood Commercial Zoning District, and otherwise provide with respect thereto in District 11.
That has to do with this issue that we just finished, right? Yeah. Okay. All right, motion by Commissioner Lazarus, second by Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Lazarus?
Thank you, Mr. President. We've all heard both sides speak today. I've gotten numerous calls and letters. The majority are in favor of Ms. Johnson's proposal. I really don't know what else to add other than that. I'd appreciate your support. Thank you.
Commissioner Epperson?
Mr. Jackson, is the second that want to come in?
Well,
okay.
You can put if so, you put it on the speaker. All right. Commissioner Jackson, okay, Commissioner Epperson.
Okay, thank you, sir. Friendship, kinship, leadership. I've heard both sides. I've received numerous emails also. Of course, this isn't in my district, but I just want everyone to know that my vote will not be biased based upon what I've heard one side say about the other, what happened. But I brought a little history with me, and this is 15 years old. This is one of my platforms that I ran on, and I'm in my 25th year as a commissioner. And one of the planks is maintain family and residential integrity of neighborhoods by working closely with all district homeowners, neighborhood associations, up to property standards and zoning issues. I've had a number of issues relative to a situation the same as this in my district, and I have always voted in favor of the residents. I think people move in a certain neighborhood for certain aesthetics. If they wanted to move next door to a business, they would do so. And I just believe in maintaining the integrity of our residential neighborhoods. It increases property values, it abates crime, it fosters camaraderie. So I will be voting to not support this. I will be voting against this zone. And I just want to let you know that nothing personal, but that's my philosophy. Always has been since I've been in the public arena, and I always will be. Thank you.
Commissioner Jones?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just like everyone else, I've heard both sides, and both sides seem to be very passionate about what they believe. I've always felt like whatever we say on record needs to be just and true. We don't need to make any type of false accusations or conceal anything that will make us look better than what we need to look. But I did some research on these 11 firefighters because it kept being brought up. And apparently it wasn't a vape shop. It was a butane lighter distribution shop, which kind of doesn't line up with what's being said here. I'll be honest. I am totally against vapes because of the children. It has nothing to do with the business owner trying to make money, but there are businesses, and not saying this about you, Mr. Johnson, but there are businesses that are making this accessible to children, and they are addicted to vapes at an alarming rate right here in Caddo Parish. I know this firsthand. I'm not telling you secondhand knowledge. I'm telling you what I've seen with my eyes every day. And that's something that we need to fix, and we definitely need to address. But at the same time, after hearing both sides of the story, and I'll be honest, a couple weeks ago, I only heard one side of this story, and I was leaning that particular way. But I don't want to discourage small businesses from coming down and doing the appropriate paperwork to open up their businesses. My biggest concern is, I think Commissioner Chavez did a great job by asking Ms. Johnson to say on the record, you'll be zoned to sell whatever it is that you want to sell. But if it's going to bring it closer to the children in the community, that's going to be a huge problem for me. And I'm not saying that's what you're going to be doing. I'm just saying that we all have to be honest with ourselves about what our intentions are. Because if we do things for the wrong reasons, it will never work out in our favor. So, I got you. It's my turn now. I listen to everybody. Okay. I want us to really be careful with that. Not just, because of the children, just for the sake of the entire community. I'm not going to tell anybody they can't sell guns. You have a Second Amendment right that allows you to bear arms. And I think those who believe in the Second Amendment would agree with this. But we just have to be careful discouraging responsible business owners from going through the paperwork and telling small business owners you're not welcome in Caddo Parish, you can't operate business in Caddo Parish. But as long as it's done with the right intentions, I'm okay with it. And I understand, people are going to be upset with whatever way this goes today. But I want to encourage you all to continue to exist together as neighbors after whatever happens here today. Because I can feel the animosity in this room. And you still have to live next door to each other, okay? And thank you, my sister. Love thy neighbor. You're going to have to do that after you leave here today, okay? Whatever happens here, you're still going to have to love your neighbor. So I think whatever, we've got going on, we got to keep it professional and make sure that we keep business and personal. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. We've heard both sides. This did not start today. This has obviously been going on for a while. Some of the commissioners asked, how could we restrict the vapes? And in a C1, we cannot. The only thing that we can do around this horseshoe would be to send this back to the Parish Planning Zoning Board and ask for a PUD and request that. Now, that would take more time, and it would delay her business getting open, which I think our current parish board has done a good job of vetting this. The MPC has done a good job of vetting this. If we look at the staff recommendations and the assessment, it says, based on the information contained in this application and analysis of the facts of the record, the MPC staff concludes that approval of rezoning this property from RA to C1 for a retail goods establishment is warranted. Furthermore, rezoning this property to C1 would not completely be out of character for this neighborhood, given that the fact that there are other C1 properties and other commercially zoned properties scattered along Cockpit Road, about 3.13 miles up and down. My thing is, how do we stop this establishment from selling the vapes and the CBD? And like I said before, I've heard good record that she's a trustworthy person. I have a lot of people come down here to say that. So on the record, that's kind of the best we can do. We have to make decisions based on the evidence and the facts. We've had a lot of evidence and facts presented to us today, and this isn't the first time that the evidence and facts have been presented to not only our board, but 2 other boards. We've had a lot of staff from the MPC vet this, and we need to be open for business. I understand for the community, for the people in the neighborhood, they want congruency of just residential, but this church is obviously not going to be open for business anytime soon. This dilapidated building, nature is going to take over. So we have somebody willing to invest in this property. If she's only going to be open every now and then to do estate sales, this is probably the best case scenario of any C1 business that could ever go in there. Even more so than, let's say, a daycare, which seems fitting, but then if that daycare is open late, all hours, it could turn into other things. If you had a dentist office, things like that. Low-impact businesses are great within residentials. A business that may only be open 2 times a month is the best case scenario, and now you have a building that is not going back to nature, that is kept up, that is well lit, that we're going to have people in working, making jobs, building the tax base. This is nothing but a good thing for this neighborhood. So I know the commissioner of this district has done a lot of work on this. I've talked to him about it. He's had a lot of phone calls. He's had a lot of grief about it. So I'm going to side with him, with the MPC staff, and the fact that I was able to get on record my biggest concern. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. So I'll be voting for this. But if any other commissioners have the heartache and they want to prolong this and send it back, that would be the avenue to do it, to send it back to the Parish Zoning Board, to then ask for a PUD, delay this longer, and then if Ms. Johnson did take over that building, it could only be used for that specific purpose and no other. So you have that option, but I think we have good recommendation from the MPC board and staff. Thank you, President.
Commissioner Jackson?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to point out that, a couple of years ago, we had a bunch of people come in here riding us about land use, zoning, MPC, ZB, whatever, and went and got a bill, ran through the legislature to take us out of the MPC, and we don't need all them rules. But here we are today having a conversation about the rules. And it's the rules that are allowing you to either be for or against. And if we didn't have no rules, we wouldn't even be here talking. And so I hope what some folks realize is this is why we have the rules. Because if the parish commission just on a whim just said we don't either want to do it or we want to do it with no factual predicate, no factual knowledge from subject matter experts, we would just be here doing whatever we want to do. And everybody here has looked at, Commissioner Chavez has just cited the staff recommendation. You have somebody who said that they listened to what the citizens saying. But it is at the very heart of what we're talking about. It is the rules, it is the zoning, it is the planning that got us here. And so for that whole little faction that come down here and says we don't need no rules, it's the rules that's protecting you as a property owner right now. So I just want to put that out there into the atmosphere. When you hear people saying we don't need that, just know they would be undermining you, whether you for or against right now. They would have been undermining your right to even participate in this process today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. There doesn't seem to be anybody else on the board, so I guess we can vote.
Okay, and that passes with 7 in favor, 3 in opposition, and 2 absent. And that brings us now to ordinances for final passage, where ordinance 6326 of 2023 is an ordinance amending the 2023 budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the oil and gas fund and the riverboat fund to appropriate funds for 6 summer programs.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Jackson, second by Commissioner Chavez. Okay, Commissioner Jackson?
Oh, sorry, I'm good. Roll.
All right, we can vote?
All right, and that motion carries with 10 in support, none in opposition. That brings us now to, we have no zoning ordinances for introduction by title today. We do have one regular ordinance to be introduced by title, and that is ordinance 6328 of 2023. It's an ordinance amending and reenacting Chapter 32, Article 6 of the Caddo Parish Code of Ordinances, repealing Section 32-52 and Section 34-22 of the Caddo Parish Code of Ordinances, and otherwise providing with respect thereto. This is from the Natural Resources Committee and is related to the noise ordinance. So that is all we had for introduction. Then we have to consider the work session minutes. Your work session minutes for your May 1st work session are attached.
Motion by Commissioner Jackson, second by Commissioner Young. Commissioner Jackson?
No, sir, I'm good.
We can vote.
All right, now motion carries with 10 in support, none in opposition, and 2 absent. That brings us now to resolutions, where you do have 18.1 to consider adopting resolution number 22 of 2023, which is a resolution ordering and calling a special election to authorize the levy of a special tax therein, making application to the State Bond Commission, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. I would remind you that you did previously advertise that you would have a public hearing for this item, so in addition to considering it, you would want to open a public hearing to see if anybody is here to speak for it.
Okay. Do the public hearing now before the vote?
No public hearing.
Yes, I think that is appropriate to go ahead and do it before there is a motion on the floor.
The floor is open for a public hearing.
Public hearing on resolution. Oh, because it's in the budget.
All right, who's bossing me on this one?
You're correct, there's a public hearing.
Okay, there's a public hearing on this particular resolution. The floor is now open for a public hearing. Anybody that is here to vote, need to speak for or against, please come forward. If not, the public hearing is closed.
Thank you. And then, so then you may now entertain motions.
Okay, there's a motion by Commissioner Jackson, second by Commissioner Epperson. Commissioner Jackson?
Yes, I'll just note that this is not a, whatever vote is cast here today, is not the final, it does not do anything, it simply asks a question. So nothing changes after this vote today. It simply asks a question, and the citizens will give us their response. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. President.
Okay, Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. Many people over the last 4 years have come here begging us to do more about crime and about juvenile justice and about bringing our society back into line with law and order. And the only way to find out if all of the people, or if the majority of the people of Caddo Parish want to pay what that costs, is to put this on a ballot and let them vote. That's democracy, and so I'm voting for it.
Okay, Commissioner Hopkins.
First of all, I want to say that thank you to the Juvenile Justice Advisory Committee and the Juvenile Justice Committee. I know they've worked real hard the last couple of years on this. I had a young lady that served, and they each and every one of them did a good job. I'm not totally sold on whether this is the time to do this. And I don't know that we've done everything we can. I don't know that we've looked at other ways to maybe cut. I have a hard time going to the people of District 1 and saying, hey guys, we're gonna add 3.5 mills to your tax bill, because the business owners and the large property owners are paying a large share of that. Now, I do appreciate dropping from the 5 mills to the 3.5, but I may be the lone vote today, and I understand that, but I'm not sold on it yet. I don't know that I'll be sold on it next year. I'm not sure that I'll ever be sold on it, so we all know where I stand, and I just wanted to say it out loud for everybody to hear. Thank you.
Commissioner Epperson.
Local bread was 25 cents back in 1958. Look what it is today. I paid $7,900 for 72 years for safety. And look what a bill costs today. I've been waiting for this question to be asked for 25 years. And I'm glad that we brought it to fruition. The committee worked diligently, spending their time down here, going through a lot of things. And it's not left up for me to go out and ask. I got 21,000 people in my district, 14,480 ready to go. How in the hell am I gonna go out there and ask each one of them what they want to do? We are putting it out here. They have enough sense and intelligence to vote in favor of what they want to do. And the reason that we are in the shape that we're in
Now let me remind you, we're spending $4 million a year plugging that hole. $4 million can pave a lot of roads, a lot of potholes can be filled up. Operating at the same millage since the inception of juvenile detention center, I think around 1958 and 1957. And you hadn't really tried to do nothing to rectify that situation. A lot of people, some on this board, as well as some in the audience, some of these purveyors of propaganda, they wrote against it. And then we had stupid state laws that was passed, keeping more responsibilities up on us without funding. So this is left up to the people, and I'm going to vote in favor of it. Thank you.
Commissioner Carlton?
Yes, I would just like to say, as previously stated, the committee has done a great job in making a recommendation throughout their time. And the most important thing you have to remember are our, and I say children, because every one of them belongs to us in some way or another. And the thing is, again, are they worth $16 possibly for a $100,000 home? Are they worth whatever the amounts of dollars it might be? And the thing is, again, is that I keep hearing about bed. That's not what I understand this to be. I understand we're talking about prevention first and foremost, but as previously stated, when you're talking about starting off with $4 million in the hole, it leaves a very big ditch for you to fill up. And particularly when you question the members of this horseshoe about why they're spending money on this, why they're spending money on that. You've already taken $4 million right off the top. So I would request that everyone get with their council members, sit down and talk with someone before you say yay or nay. Because again, if you need additional clarity, just sit down and talk with someone. And I definitely know that the administrators have been working on this very diligently to ensure that each and every person can understand what is going on. Thank you.
Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, like my colleagues, I'd like to thank all the citizens who worked on this Citizens Advisory Committee so diligently for the last 18 months. So, again, I appreciate that effort, and I understand the logic behind this proposal. However, I did run on a small government platform. I feel like I have a certain pledge to the people who elected me to fill the seat to not expand our tax base. So for that reason, I will not be supporting it, but I respect my colleagues who have a different view than I on this particular matter. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. I don't see anyone else on there, but I guess I'll make my final comment. I know many citizens would like to say that it doesn't affect me, or it doesn't affect my child. I submit to you that it does affect you and affect your child, because juvenile crime does not have a face. If we have young people that are out there committing crime, you hear all the time on national news and even Louisiana news where people are getting shot going to the grocery store, coming out of your own houses. I don't consider it an epidemic at this point, but these children do deserve a chance to grow up. And for those who are clenching their purses, when we're talking about a millage that would only create an expense on you of $16, as I understand it, per household average a year. You could tell me we can spend $4 million to try to keep you incarcerated, whenever we can take $16 a year per household and try to deal with this issue, not just to incarcerate them, but to rehabilitate them. We just had our scientists up today talking about the drug epidemic that we have, in our parish. And they also said, what startled me, that per capita, we are the worst in the world, not the U.S., not in Louisiana, but in the world. Can you even imagine it? That shocked me more than anything. But at the same time, these drugs are getting to our youngsters. We want to wash our hands of it, but they are getting there. If you don't want to do this, go and take care of the drug dealers and those who are making this stuff, instead of pointing your finger at the kids in which we are trying to rehabilitate. I think that's sad. If you want to talk about the crime part, why don't you talk to some of these companies that are coming here that don't want to come here because of the crime statistics? They will tell you, I don't want to be in that community. So it affects you economically. For those of you that are business people, that's less business you're going to get. Because if these companies don't come here and you don't increase the salaries or have a decent salary for people who are living here, then you're going to make less money in your business. So let's promote this from an economic development standpoint if you don't want to talk about crime. I think we're at a point where, and I've been in state government, I heard this all the time. They want things like roads and other things, but they don't want to pay for it. Somebody else got to pay for it because I don't want to raise my taxes. I don't want to raise my taxes either. But at the same time, you get what you pay for. And you get what you don't pay for either on the other side of that. So again, I think this is something that we need to consider. As Commissioner Epperson said, that we haven't done anything toward this since, what, 58, 57, whatever the case may be. I think now is the time and get some of this politics out of what we're doing. I know it's kind of hard, but I think we need to do that and look at it from a humanistic standpoint, humanitarian standpoint. So that's my take on that. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, and great job. I just want to clarify that nothing here today raises a single tax. Whether you are an anti-tax person or whatever the opposite of anti-tax is, I still have to figure out what that person is. Because I don't know a person who is pro-tax. I haven't met that person yet. You're just asking the question. All we're doing is asking the question. And on October, if this passes in October, everybody who chooses to participate, everybody who chooses to participate in our democratic process will have an equal opportunity to say yes or say no. But nothing we do here today will raise anybody's taxes. The ultimate deciders are those folks who elect us to do this job. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Epps.
Call for the question.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion by, I assume Commissioner Epps to call for the question. Okay, motion by Commissioner Jackson, second by Commissioner Young. Call for the question. Okay, Commissioner Jackson. We good. I'm good. Okay, let's vote.
Voting on the question?
Question. Yes, sir.
This is call for the question.
Yes, sir.
All right, and that motion carries with 10 in support, none in opposition, and 2 absent. That now brings us to...
Okay, there's a motion by Commissioner Jackson and a second by Commissioner Epperson on the resolution. Okay, Commissioner Jackson? Okay, let's vote.
And that motion carries with 8 in support, 2 in opposition, and 2 absent. That brings us to the next section on our agenda. We have no old business, so we'll move forward to new business, where you will find 20.1 is the next item to consider. That is the reappointment of Chantel Partisan to the Shreveport-Bossier Sports Commission.
Motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Chavez. Commissioner Jones?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Epperson?
Yes, sir. I'd like to go and adopt 20.1. 20.2. I'll give a second.
Okay, it's been moved and second, moved by Commissioner Epperson. Wait a minute.
Moved by Epperson, second by Jackson.
Well, no, I'm looking at my board. We gotta get this stuff straight. Commissioner Epperson now, and second by Commissioner Jackson. Okay, Commissioner Epperson?
So against the local 20.1 and 20.2.
Okay, we can vote then.
Okay, that motion carries with 10 in support, none in opposition, and 2 absent. That brings us to the final item under your new business section today, which is a Caddo Animal Service Board appeal. That is, the appellant is Catherine Wicker. You should have received a number of emails with attachments on this. There are also some documents attached before you. And I believe Animal Services, Kelvin is here from Animal Services.
Okay, Mr. Shannon?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So what we have today, just as we did the last Animal Services Board that made it to your presence, we have Mrs. Wicker, who owns a 2-year-old pit bull male named Titan. And so we're here today because she is disagreeing with the board's decision to keep this dog vicious. So I'll give you a little back history. I know you have all the documents that the clerk sent to you guys and photos. If you've not had a chance to read to it, I'm going to recap it really quick for you. So what we have, Ms. Wicker's dog was continuously getting out, it was at large a lot of complaints. The dog never bit anyone, but it was a nuisance for us just being out constantly at large. So the director deemed the dog dangerous. She had 10 days to appeal. On the 9th day, she agreed with the dangerous decision. So she brought all the items that goes along with the dangerous dog, collars, muzzles, the Caddo Parish dangerous dog sign, took the dog home. I think within 24 hours, the dog escaped again. And so this is where we are. Director Clark deemed the dog vicious at this point. And what I'll do, like I did last time, since we at vicious, I will read the definition of a vicious dog, just so we'll be on the same page. Vicious dog means a dog which has attacked and caused severe and gross injuries or death to a human being. Previously been classified as a dangerous dog, and subsequent thereto, a violation of Section 867, which is dangerous. Previously been classified as dangerous and found to be at large 2 or more times. Exhibited behavior which enables the Director of Animal Advisory Board to reasonably conclude that the animal may not safely coexist with people. No dog shall be deemed vicious simply by its breed. So may I remind you again that vicious means humane euthanasia. So what we're going to do moving forward, I will allow, if we have any complainants here, which I think we have one, right, we'll have him speak, and then we'll bring, if you have any questions for the board, which is Ms. Sarah Walton, who took lead, and then we'll talk to the dog's owners. Have any questions for me?
Commissioner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Has the board heard this and upheld?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. And that's what I was, the board did hear this, and the board upheld the vicious.
Upheld, okay. And vicious means leads to euthanasia?
Yes, humane euthanasia. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
Coming up, sir.
All right.
State your name for the record, please.
My name's Marshall Cosme, and I've been a witness to some of the going-ons with Titan and some other pit bulls. There's already plenty of evidence on the record. As you know, the dog's been deemed vicious for good reason. And there is a CPO report that I handed in today that indicates and proves that the dog attacked someone, even though they didn't bite her. The person that was attacked, I'm here for on her behalf. Her name is Alice Tate, and 2 times Titan has jumped on her back and forcibly knocked her to the ground. Now, maybe for me or you guys, if that happened to you, it wouldn't be a big deal. But Alice is 68 years old and has surgical implants in her neck and her back, along with a spinal cord stimulator. And logically, and according to her physicians, any more getting knocked down could possibly result in her death, because she's very fragile. She has rheumatoid arthritis and degenerative spine issues. And I also turned in an affidavit from Priscilla Thompson, who executed that just yesterday. And she goes over quite a few things, and she even states why she has reason to believe that these dogs have been being let out on purpose by Catherine Wicker. And that's based on credible evidence from a family member. And that recording was turned in to your board today. There's a huge stack of paperwork on this dog. Alice Tate's not the only one that's complained about this dog. Various neighbors have been cornered and complained about this dog, chasing them into their cars and keeping them there. The dog's done the same thing to Alice Tate, her boarders, and friends of hers. I've seen the dog tear apart her cats and kill her cats. This particular dog, as well as other pit bulls. But this has been going on for a ridiculous 5 years, and it's time for it to end. And I don't know why. All Alice wanted was for these people to keep their pit bulls in their yard. That's it. But they don't seem to be able to do that. And it's been going on for 5 years. And enough is enough. And I'd like to question a letter that was submitted to you guys, to the commission. And it's a letter by Catherine Wicker, and it's signed by 5 workers of the Caddo Parish Animal Shelter. And it basically reads, I work at the Caddo Parish Animal Shelter located at 1500 Monte Street. And it basically says that while the dog's been down there since March 31st, that the dog has not exhibited any vicious things or growling or, toward anybody. But what I question is, it says I, it doesn't say the person's name. It's not a sworn affidavit like the one I submitted to you from Priscilla Thompson. And it's signed by illegible signatures, except one I can make out Walker. But I question that as being authentic or even truthful. I don't know. It just makes me wonder. But it seems like every time Titan went back to his home, he gets out immediately. So I don't know if there's something going on at the residence. I have no clue or even how these dogs keep on getting out over and over and over again. Because to the best of my knowledge, there's been an electric fence installed at this residence for many, many years. I don't know exactly when, and I may be wrong, how long it's been there. But to me, any animal that hits an electric fence is going to learn real quick. They're not going to jump over that fence. They're not even going to get anywhere near it. But it seems like these pit bulls keep on doing this over and over and over again. And Alice Tate is in fear of her life from these dogs. She is not comfortable at her own house because she can't go out and enjoy her gardening, because at any time these pit bulls over the last 5 years show up at any given time, day or night. And it's like there's something going on here, because these dogs aren't that smart. And these dogs aren't that clever to be getting out of a fence. And, I believe that the Animal Control Board made the right decision on April 18th, 2023. And I hate it for the dog, because Alice doesn't want the dog to be put down. As far as Alice is concerned, the dog can go missing into witness protection and be rehomed to any specialist pit bull organizations like Villa Lova out of New Orleans. She'll be fine with that. And I know what the law says, the ordinance says that, the dog has to be euthanized. But if there's any way you guys can get around that, that would satisfy Alice. As for me, Alice was injured on 8/28, or on 8/28 there was a CPA, a Caddo Parish office report, and the report is ID is 2022-000-21589. And in that report, it shows that the officer observed bruises on Alice Tate, as well as videos of the dog going up underneath her trailer, as well as other things that were turned into the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office. So that documented that she was injured. And the reason Alice isn't here right now is because she had to go to a doctor's appointment today to have her spinal cord simulator, checked, because she's been in such chronic pain, and it's just been getting worse and worse and worse. And the anxiety that this lady is being put through because of these dogs not being kept in their own property is unbelievable. I've seen this woman bawl and cry and just shake from this stuff. And I'm not going to go into everything that's happened over the last 5 years. I don't know all about it.
38 seconds.
Okay, but I thank you for hearing me out, and I hope that this dog is deemed vicious and relocated somewhere if possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Crosby. Okay, who's next? Ms. Wicker? Is that Ms. Wicker,
the appellant?
Now, is that proper, or is there anybody else that you have?
Well, she's on the board, sir. That's if you had any questions for the board that upheld the vicious.
Okay.
So she's here too, if you have any questions for
Ms.
her.
Wicker.
And Director Clark. So now you have Ms. Wicker, the dog's owner.
Hi, my name's Catherine Wicker, and I'm here on behalf of Titan. Yes, he was getting out. We did realize that. We were told to fix the fence on March 17th, or I'm sorry, March 7th. They came out, they inspected, they said we needed to make corrections to the fence. They came back out on the 8th, trying to take the dogs. And even issued a summons for the fence, even though we were given 2 weeks to fix the fence. We didn't have time to fix it properly, to find out where he was getting out, how he was getting out. As far as him attacking Alice, if you look at the report, it was made on August 28th, yet it occurred on August 16th. Why did you wait 12 days to report this? Why did Caddo Parish Animal Shelter nor the Sheriff's Office come to, we had no idea about this until today when I received this. Nobody came and said anything. If it was that serious, why wasn't anything said? They say over 30 reports were made to the Sheriff's Office and everybody else, but nobody's done anything. She's got all these reports of my dog attacking her and absolutely no evidence. They even asked her for videos, and I don't have time to look at videos today. Never turned it in. Did he get out? Yes, he was getting out. I'm pretty sure I submitted the pictures of the fence that we have put the boards, the chicken wire up to keep him from getting out. We've secured the kennel to where he can't get out. We'll have a camera that faces the kennel, make sure he cannot get out. But I can guarantee you, if he were to come out, even if he got out 100 times, if she were to have to show evidence right then and there of my dog doing anything vicious, you will never hear a complaint from her again, because he has never shown any viciousness. And the signatures from Caddo Parish Animal Control, Calvin can testify that those are his employees, because I checked with him before I had them sign it, that there was going to be no conflict, that it would be okay, there wouldn't be anything with their job, because they have been with him every day. And every complaint comes from Alice's house. It's who I've never even laid eyes on this guy before, so I don't know who he is, where he's come from, or what he has to do with any of this. And the other guy that she mentioned, I don't know who he is either. Like, I don't know who these people are. They're all from her. Nobody else in the neighborhood has, as far as I know, had complaints about him being vicious or anything else. Getting out, yes, he did. That is our fault. Like I said, we've done everything within the time to correct that. They didn't give us the time. They came to take him out less than 24 hours after giving us 2 weeks to fix the fence. And you can see in the fence, we've gone above and beyond to make sure that he can't get out. My dogs are my life. Those are like my kids. And it has killed me, physically hurts to not have him home with us. And if nothing else, if you go meet him yourself, and you will see, he is the least vicious dog we have ever had in our entire life. You yell at him, and he's trying to get on you, hug you, because he can't stand anybody to be mad at him. So I don't know where all this is coming from, why she's got it out for me. She says she's caught both of us underneath her house trying to tie the dog up. I've got Caddo Animal Services in my pocket. Just the craziest stuff, and I don't understand it. I've never said a word to her in over 2 years, and to this day I still will not say a word to her. I've seen her dog out, no leash, no fence, I got pictures of it, but I'm not going to call. I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to do that, because there's no need for it. There's no need for it. He has never bitten anybody. He's never showed any kind of aggressive or vicious behavior. There's no proof other than her saying it. And it's all this proof that she's got, and there's not a shred of evidence of him being vicious towards her other than her saying it. So I beg you to just look at the evidence, and you will see yourself. He's not vicious. He got out, yes. He was a nuisance for getting out, yes. But I am pretty, I mean, we can't guarantee it unless we have him home, but that's not going to happen again because of the measures we have taken to keep him from getting out. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wicker. Mr. Samuels, or anyone, are there any questions from the, correct, from the commission, Commissioner Young?
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. May I ask you a question?
Yes.
I just wanted to get the dates again regarding your fence repair.
Mhm.
So you said you were told to repair your fence on March 7th?
Yes.
And then
They came out on the 8th.
You were given 2 weeks to make those repairs?
Yes.
But only 24 hours later,
They came out.
they came to get your dog as if you...
They tried to take the dog at that date. He refused to let them. They did issue us a summons, and they had to follow up to come seize the dogs. They came back on the 16th and actually seized them then.
Okay,
But
so
yes,
that
we
was-
were given, it's in the report that the officer gave us 2 weeks until March 21st.
Okay.
And they were back less than 24 hours later. So we didn't even have time to fix it. And then they came out and they passed the fence. So we got them back, but then they said, after you gotta get, that it wasn't passable, so it's been very wishy-washy, but as of right now, I mean, there's no way that it doesn't pass. I mean, they can come back.
Has your dog been at home in your new fence?
No.
So we don't know for sure whether he could get out or not?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And we do have an inside kennel that we have zip tied. We've got 2 locks for it to make sure that, we're taking every measure to make sure he cannot get out.
Okay.
And if he does at this point, I mean, there's nothing I can do. He's Houdini, at this point.
Okay.
But we are taking every measure to keep him inside. But even if, like I said, if he did get out, he's not vicious in any way. Anyway, you can ask, I mean, Calvin's been around him, and people at Caddo Parish, over a month they've had him and worked with him every single day, and they can't believe he's in there because he's one of the sweetest dogs they have. He is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. May I speak with Kelvin, please?
Sir?
Assistant Director, I find it strange, this letter. Is this normal where the
So-
employees submit?
So this letter, obviously, I guess she had some contact with our staff, and animal behavior, when you handle a dog daily, the dog tends to love you, right? So I guess the staff signed a letter saying that the dog is nice to them. That's something they wanted to do. That's something they worked out with Mrs. Wicker. So they handle the dog daily. They let the dog out, they feed the dog. And the problem we have here, the dog may not be vicious like we're saying, or it hadn't bitten anyone, but it has knocked someone down, right? So the dog is at large. The problem is at large, constantly. That's the issue we have. And so for the staff to sign that, they've never done that before, but they're basically stating that they handle the dog daily. So they become close to the dog by the dog being there for over 30-plus days. The dog is neutered. The dog is still at the facility. The dog has not gone back to her residence since it has been back and since she has made applications to her fence.
It seems like a severity step to go from the dangerous to the vicious if all the dog was out at large in the neighborhood. Are you backing this? Are you supporting the board's decision, or do you feel otherwise?
Okay, so Director Clark is, he made the last deem.
Okay.
So I'm going to have him speak on his decision.
Thank you.
And I was the one sitting in on the board.
Director, sorry, I didn't see you back there behind the pole.
No problem. Okay, so this is the thing. If we wrote the correction order for the fence to be corrected, we had to get more reports of the dog being out for us to come back out sooner. Okay? So dogs were seized. The female has not gotten out since they went back home after the first impoundment. Titan, however, was back out within 24 hours. So from the videos that we have, and I sent close to 30 attachments to Jeff, there's video of the dog charging people, charging up on the porch. The guy that she says lives across the street with Miss Tate, he was running inside the house trying to grab his little dog. Now, I can't say Titan was finna attack them or not, but if you look at the video for yourself, you tell me if you think the dog was finna attack them, okay? You have someone who's been injured. They feel threatened by the dog. The dog doesn't have to technically bite them if they have to make a defensive action towards the dog. She agreed with the dangerous dog stipulations because I have it in email. I said, I don't want you to think I'm trying to coerce you into agreeing with the dangerous dog stipulations. If you go to the board, your dog could go home with no stipulations. Or they may say, you need to build a kennel with a concrete bottom or pavers at the bottom. It'll need to have a roof on it to prevent it from climbing out. You have to put a lock on it because these are things that I have seen the board do for dangerous dogs. I have also seen dangerous dogs go home but be house dogs. So whenever they're outside, they're in a leash on the yard with the owner and then right back in the house. If they leave off of the property, they have to have a muzzle, they have to have the yellow and red collar on, and the dangerous dog placard posted on their property. She agreed to those terms. She came and got the dog. This time it wasn't 24 hours, it was 48 hours and the dog was back at the shelter. You clearly see the dog running up the steps, yellow and red collar on, pictures of the dog jumping back in the fence, yellow and red collar on, with the dangerous dog sign right there. So it's not that I'm wanting to say that this dog is vicious. However, if we don't go by the letter of the law and someone gets hurt behind this dog, I don't need y'all saying I'm not doing my job.
I understand.
That's why I sent it to the board.
Okay. Thank you, Director. Thank you, President.
Okay, Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to hear from the board if we may. Thank you, by the way, thank you for your service on the board.
My name's Sarah Walton. I represent the nonprofit sitting on the board. So the reason that we came to the decision that we did, and we were all in agreement, there wasn't anybody that didn't agree with our decision. Sergeant Bailey was on it as well. He's over livestock for Caddo Parish Sheriff's Department. So we actually listened to both sides, and I'm not sure of everyone's names, but when this gentleman was here, there was 2 other witnesses as well. We listened to their side. There was the lady that had the spinal surgery. She's very old. She is very frail. She did say that she was scared for her life, and when the dog did jump on her, that if she'd not stayed still, she would have thought that the dog would have attacked her. There were witnesses that the dog had killed other animals in the neighborhood, whether it be cats or dogs or anything. It's the fact that the dog is considered a dangerous dog by law. There was also videos that we saw where after the dog had been deemed dangerous, and you can see the dangerous collar on the dog. One instance, as Travis mentioned, the dog had jumped over their just cleared it. They had already started work on the fence, and when I saw the work they had done on the fence, it was from my experience, more encouraging because it looked like it would just help the dog climb out. There was nothing at that point at the top of the fence to restrain it. And the dog easily cleared what they currently had with the dangerous collar on. There was another video we saw that another neighbor who did testify that day and who was also there, he was being chased up onto his property, onto his porch with his small dog, and the video basically shows him running from the dog into his house with the door shut. So we don't know what would have taken place after that, but the dog was coming after. So with all that being said, we then did listen to Ms. Wicker and their side, and what my issue and what our main concern with the board was, other than they were saying they were trying to take efforts, but with the dangerous dog classification, there are certain things you have to do. And having just heard her say that they have the crate with the zip ties. Well, she mentioned they had the crate with the zip ties then, but they don't know how the dog even got out of the house. So there's an accountability issue here that they've not taken corrective accountability on this dog, and the dog may be friendly to the people at work, but we're going by what the law says, and there's really no room on my best case scenario, the dog, and I believe her brother reached out to Animal Services after this happened from another state, wanting to take the dog if they could take a dangerous dog. And that would be best case scenario. If the dog could go live somewhere else to where someone else would take this responsibility on, because they've not shown responsibility, and it's not fair to the other neighbors, it's not fair to the other animals in the area. If this dog is and it's continuous. If this dog is continuously being let out, obviously we want to keep all the animals alive, but we have to keep the other animals in the neighborhood at mind as well as the neighbors. I just heard when I listened to them give their witness at our board meeting, there was just, well, it was this date, and it was just, didn't matter the date. The dog was deemed dangerous, and it got out on more than one occasion. After it was deemed dangerous, it was your responsibility. So what makes me feel like Travis said that these neighbors are going to be safe when you've already agreed to this one sighting and it still happened on more than one occasion? So these neighbors are terrified. We heard them speak. We all agreed on the board that this was the right decision to make, because once the dog is deemed dangerous, by law, if it gets out again, then it is a vicious dog. I mean, there's no other way to look around it. So we're going by what the law states. That I've also received personally harassing emails from Ms. Wicker, and as well as Humane Society messages since this has happened, and trying to speak out against Humane Society, who has nothing to do with any of this. I sit on the board as a nonprofit member, so I can see that there's very little accountability on their end.
Commissioner Young?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question for Assistant Director Samuel. Thank you, Mr. Samuel. So the fence they were told to fix their fence on March 7th. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And were they given 2 weeks to fix their fence before somebody came and got their dog?
So let me get the actual dates. They were given 2 weeks. So the fence did not pass the height, right? So the fence at minimum, right?
So I see the pictures. It looks like they had a 4-foot fence before, and now they have a 6-foot fence addition on top.
Right. And here's the thing. Pit bulls are athletic dogs, so it doesn't depend on the actual height. If your dog can clear a 6-foot fence, you got a problem. If your dog can clear a 7-foot fence, you need to contain the dog with the height that it cannot clear a fence, whether you put a top. That's the issue that we have at hand. I love working issues out to where neighbors can get along and justifiably work an issue out, and everybody goes home freely, dog has its life. But in this particular case, we just have a continuously at-large situation. And it's like everyone that spoke previously, we do have situations where people are getting hurt. Of course, no one got bit, but a lady did get knocked down.
Sure,
she
I
has
got it.
pins. Yes,
let
sir.
me ask another
Yes,
question.
sir.
So the fence that's now 6 feet tall.
We haven't gone out and inspected the new fence.
Okay. So when they had their dangerous dog declaration and it got its collar,
right?
They still had a 4-foot fence at that time?
So when they got their dangerous dog, that was the 9th day before the 10th day for appeal, and Director Clark let them take,
Okay.
he'll talk that part.
Sure. Thank you,
All right,
Director
so
Clark.
repairs to the fence had already started being made. Upon signing the dangerous dog declaration, Mrs. Wicker advised that she had the kennel in the house and it would be a house dog until the fence passed inspection all the way around. The dog is not getting out of the back. If you look at your pictures, the dog is jumping out of the front. So how he's getting out of the house to even jump over the front gate, I can't tell you, and Ms. Wicker can't tell you.
Is the front gate taller now?
Yes.
You haven't been there to inspect it?
No,
They're
sir.
telling us it's taller. I see pictures, it looks like it's taller now. Is it, why did you go back and get the dog before that 2 weeks for repairing their fence
Because
was
it was
over?
continuous complaints of them being
So it was
out.
at large again?
Well, it was allegedly it was at large.
Alleged to be at large again.
And the fence was below the 4-foot minimum.
Right, it was
So
36 inches.
okay, let's go ahead, seize the dogs, fix your fence, bring it up some, and you can get the dogs back. Well, it was a couple of spots that were still low after they got the dogs the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But because they started working on the fence, we want to work with y'all. I don't want to keep your dogs there. If they have a home that they can go to, the dogs went back home. And within 24 hours, we had Titan again. The female, we've only impounded once. It's Titan that's continuously getting out and allegedly a problem, reported to be a problem. So that's why we went back before the 2 weeks.
I see. So, and you agree that the dog has not been labeled dangerous and at the same time in this expanded fence to know whether it can escape from the expanded fence?
Not in the backyard, because we saw it coming out of the front.
I see. But the front gate, the front area, like, it looks like I can see it in the picture. It looks like it's taller now too.
It may be, sir. I haven't been out there.
Okay. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Atkins?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion that we uphold the findings of the board with the contingency that the family be given a week to have the brother come in from out of town to take Titan to.
You can't do that.
That's off the table?
You can't do that if it's vicious.
I mean, I can do anything I want to do.
Okay.
I can make any proposal I want to make,
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're right, that there are rules, or there are existing guidelines, but I heard that others might be open to that proposal. And you have a vote.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Did you all say that's off the table?
The brother called and talked to me about possibly taking the dog, right, for his sister, and I informed him that if he did that, he still would have to follow the guidelines of a dangerous dog if it was voted down to dangerous from you guys. Meaning, the animal services in his location would have to be mailed all the different stipulations and ordinances and adopt Titan in their particular area. But Ms. Wicker told me that was off the table. The brother will no longer take the dog.
Okay. Then I will modify my motion to upholding the findings of the board.
Okay, Commissioner Epperson.
I just second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Moved by Commissioner Atkinson, second by Commissioner Epperson to uphold the board. Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to say, to me, it seems like, everybody knows how I feel about pit bulls. But to me, it seems like this dog does not meet the classic definition of vicious. It hasn't bitten anybody. It does chase people, and it does so repeatedly, but it hasn't been given a chance to live under the stipulated dangerous dog conditions at its home with a completed, more elaborate fence and the other protective measures that citizens are required to take when they have dangerous dogs. So, well, I'm just going to vote against deeming it vicious. I think it would be better if it was merely held dangerous again and given another chance, and then if it escapes again, then it would be vicious.
Would you like to make a?
But I'll suggest that one of my colleagues maybe make a motion, since I already spoke.
Okay, the question has been called by Commissioner Carlton. Okay, it's been a minute, and I'm sorry.
The question was called for by, he was the next speaker, right?
Okay.
He called for the question.
I don't see a
call for
second.
the question.
Okay. Okay, it's been a minute by Commissioner Carlton and second by Commissioner Stefan Jones. Okay, we can vote on call for the question.
And that motion carries with 6 in support, 2 in opposition, and 4 absent. And that for the call for the question. So that then brings us to the motion for the, I'm sorry, the motion by Commissioner Atkins, seconded by Commissioner Epperson to uphold the decisions of the Animal Services Board.
Okay, again, it's been motioned by Commissioner Atkinson and second by Commissioner Epperson. We can vote.
All right, that motion carries with 6 in support, 2 in opposition, and 4 absent. And that brings us to communiques. So, I'm sorry, I did just want to confirm with the parish attorney, because we have only 8 members present, I mean, I have that a majority, that would constitute a majority that, and I just want to make sure that is accurate.
Yes, you have, it's not an ordinance, so you don't need 7 votes, and you have a quorum, and the majority of the quorum is what's required.
Thank you. I just want to make sure we have that on the record in case there is a question in the future.
Okay, do you want to clarify what the two, Ms. Wicker, what is taking place, so we'll be clear?
So this action today upholds the decision, so they've agreed with the Animal Services Board's rendering.
Okay, Mr. Clerk.
And that brings us to communiques and reports.
Any more communiques or reports? If not, that takes us then to citizens' comments.
We have no requests for citizens' comments later on.
Adjourn.